For Dave Ritchie's team, this game means the entire season. If they win, they are in the playoffs. The Blue Bombers' postseason destiny is now in their own hands, and they must take control of it. If not, it will be a long off-season of wondering what might have been. Elon Green and the Eskimos are gearing up for their own playoff run and will not lay down. Bombers-Esks next.
Well, anytime's great football, but when it feels just right, we're gonna kick back, relax, watching football on a Friday night. It's Friday, and we're gonna be holiday. It's Friday, from coast to coast, the CFL is Canada's game. Well, we're all pumped up to party, and we're ready for a fight. Come on, get back, relax, watch some Friday night football. Boys, it's been bad, playing CFL football. Game is up for grabs. It's Friday night football tonight.
Winnipeg, and all the emphasis on the first syllable of that word tonight for the Bombers as they play for a postseason spot on Adidas Friday Night Football. And yes, it's our last Friday Night Football of the season. What are we going to do on Fridays?
I got some ideas.
Sit around Schulte's and watch reruns of Dr. Quinn or something. I don't know. James Duffy along with Eric, Matt, and Chris. And at least our last Friday night is meaningful. In fact, it means everything to Winnipeg. After years of frustration and futility, a win tonight, and they are back in the dance, the postseason. For more, let's check in with John Wells and Glenn Suter, who'll call this one in Winnipeg.
James, Bomber quarterback Kahari Jones has been red hot lately. He's tossed 15 touchdown passes against 3 interceptions in his last 5 ball games, but he's going to be missing a couple of his key ingredients. 2 of his 4 lethal weapons won't play tonight.
Yeah, first of all, when you look at that receiving core, Robert Gordon and Milt Stegall have been 1 and 1A for Kahari Jones all season long, but he's also seen some production out of the other side of that receiving core in G. Roy Simon and Albert Johnson III, with over 1,500 yards combined receiving between the two of them. While you take them both out of the lineup, G. Roy Simon and his 725 and 7 touchdowns, gone. He can't play tonight. And maybe more importantly, Albert Johnson III is also out of the lineup, and right now he currently leads the CFL in all-purpose yards. They'll miss him.
This is an enormous game for the Winnipeg Blue Bomber franchise. Winnipeg has not made the playoffs since 1996, and the Bombers' last playoff win was way back in 1994. And guess who was quarterbacking the Bombers back then, guys?
Chris Schultz?
No. Eric Tillman.
Oh, no. That must be a long time ago when it's done. It is always a strange week when you have some teams obviously playing for their lives, other teams just trying to stay healthy. It's really an odd mix of agendas.
You said it, James. Winnipeg, they're in a situation where they'd like to wrap things up, secure a playoff spot. Toronto's in an ugly situation where they're at home, destiny in somebody else's hands. Saskatchewan, they're simply playing for the jobs and pride for next season. Now you look at Montreal, Calgary, Edmonton, and BC. These 4 teams are in a very precarious situation because they are monitoring the health of their players, the continuity of the team, how well they're playing together, and yet you don't want to get people injured for the playoff run. Now, Hamilton, on the other hand, they've secured a home field playoff position, but this team is in a different situation. They're dealing with more than just monitoring the health of players and getting in a good groove, Chris. They need a win to prove themselves that they are capable of going on and playing well in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah, and the key is how are the players going to get ready, but I don't even think that's going to be a problem. Why? Because these guys go into the same routine the last 17 weeks. If it's a 1 o'clock kickoff, the vast majority of these guys are at that stadium 9 a.m. They're going to be there. They'll listen to their Walkman. They'll go through their routine of getting their ankles taped by a very specific trainer. Everything is going to be routine. That routine, they'll walk onto that pregame warm-up field. That'll be another routine. They'll do what they do right before the game, and when they hit that football field, they'll be ready. It doesn't matter whether these games are here for the playoffs or not. I know the players in this league, they'll be ready to play, Eric.
Chris, as you know, in the Canadian Football League, there's no such thing as a nothing game. These guys are professional. They understand that each week, every game, their livelihood is on the line. And remember this, and trust me, head coaches and general managers, they always have an eye to the future. They're thinking about next year. Tomorrow night, Saskatchewan plays. They're not in the playoffs, but Danny Barrett, Roy Shivers, they're going to be gauging who shows up, who plays hard. If Winnipeg wins tonight, the same will be applicable for the Toronto Argonauts and Pinball Clements. Guys that go through the motions this weekend, for teams that have been eliminated, they probably won't be around come training camp time next year.
All right, lots more from the guys and lots more on all the games just ahead. But when we return, we will introduce you to the new commish. Michael Lisko joins us from Chicago. We'll talk to him next.
Adidas Friday Night Football on TSN is brought to you in part by Adidas, by Molson Canadian, I am Canadian, and by 3M Filtrate air cleaning filters. Breathe the difference.
Well, he calls it the opportunity of a lifetime. It is also the challenge of a lifetime, guiding the CFL through perhaps the most critical stage in its history. That is the job description facing Michael Lisko, the new commissioner of the league, who joins us now from Chicago. Michael, thank you for joining us. I know it's been a whirlwind week, and let me ask you a question that you were probably asked during the job selection process, and a lot of people have been asking this week. Why you? Why did the Board of Governors select Michael Lisko?
I can't speak for the Board of Governors. I can tell you why I took the job, and I can tell you why I think that they went this direction. My understanding is that they interviewed several candidates with a wide range of backgrounds. My background seems to fit with what direction the league they want to take the league with respect to revenue generation and just maybe some different type of thinking that's taken place in the past.
Michael, Eric Tillman, congratulations.
Hi. Thank you, Eric.
Welcome to the fishbowl. 1 week into the job, yeah, 1 week into the job, and already two very divergent views of Michael Lisko. One, the board that's just raved about your background and your qualifications. The other, from the media, that's been a little harsh, a little critical. At 39, obviously, you have a great resume, but you've never been the boss. Question: are you tough enough for the job, or are you ready for the criticism that comes with the territory?
No, that's a great question. I mean, I thought I was. I mean. In fact, most of the media have been great. I mean, there's a half dozen guys in the marketplace that, quite frankly, I've been there for the better part of 15 years. I don't think you could bring anybody in that would please those guys. So, I mean, if I'm expecting to come in and be the number one choice for everybody, I think that's unrealistic. I think at 39, whether 49 or 39, I think that we've got a situation where age isn't going to be a factor in how well I do this job. I think I can do a good job. I intend to do a good job. And am I tough enough? We'll find out.
Mr. Commissioner, Matt Dunnigan here.
Hi, Matt. How are you?
Fine. Is that the first time you've been addressed that way?
No, it's not.
Hey, it's got a nice ring to it.
Yes, it does.
What I'd like to ask you is, in the past, there's been so many opinions as to where the direction this league is going, whether it's the Board of Governors, the head coaches, and those opinions seem to come out at the wrong time. What we're looking for, and I think what is needed, is an umbrella, one roof to house all these different opinions and to speak on behalf of the CFL with one voice. Are you going to provide us with that roof and that umbrella?
Well, that's exactly, that's probably, if you had to ask me, my number one mandate is to do exactly that. I mean, I've been around that marketplace and, of course, here in the U.S. for a long, long time, and you see how some of the leagues do a great job of this and some leagues do less than a great job of this. The Canadian Football League, in fact, has done less than a great job of building their brand. They are not tremendously relevant to the consumers in the key marketplaces. I mean, you only have to take a look at a Toronto situation or a Vancouver situation. Those are difficult situations to the best of teams. I mean, the Toronto Blue Jays and the Toronto Raptors found out how tough it is in the last couple of years to just waltz in here or waltz in Toronto and try and take on the Leafs. I think once we realize that the CFL does have a place in these larger markets, that in the smaller markets, the mid-sized markets, we are a tremendously effective way to reach consumers. For sponsors, we're a tremendous product. Obviously, the product on the field has never been the problem. It's just understanding where we fit into the sports marketplace that's going to be the key in the future, I think.
Mr. Lisko, Chris Schultz here. Congratulations.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate
now,
that.
Within the next 2 or 3 years, the competition for football players is going to get extreme. Can the league seriously consider expansion when it's really being attacked from the outside for its most valuable resource, the players?
I mean, it's a good question. I think there's a fairly, in some respects, you can get a school of thought that thinks that there's an unlimited pool of resources with respect to football players. I happen to believe that we have a situation now where we've taken a position and we'll continue to take a position that our players under contract, and we're going to hope that people honor those contracts. There's an executive committee, and Michael McCarthy's heading up that executive committee to ensure that takes place. The XFL draft is very much on our minds. With respect to the Arena League and other competitive issues, we've got a lot of work to do, but we're going to be just fine.
Michael, there's a lot of great news in the Canadian Football League right now. Unfortunately, the Toronto Argonauts are still a major concern. They're struggling at the gate. At the press conference, you said it's very important for this franchise to be repositioned in the public eye. Now, I was general manager of the Toronto Argonauts for 2 years.
Yes,
One of those years, we won the Grey Cup with Doug Flutie, with the ever-popular Michael Pinball Clemens, and yet we still lost money. Can you bring a little clarity to that term, repositioning the franchise?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm not sure there's a completely elastic relationship between winning and generation of revenue. And I'll give you an example. The Chicago Cubs here in Chicago. I don't remember the last time. I certainly wasn't alive when they won the last World Series. But you cannot get a ticket to a Chicago Cubs game. On the other hand, you go to a Chicago White Sox game. They nearly go to the World Series, and they can't draw flies. And so, I mean, I don't think that just because there's a winning product on the field, it necessarily provides you with a margin of error that it used to. Sherwood Schwartz has been frank in discussing his problems with me. I think he may have underestimated the Toronto marketplace and in terms of looking at the population base versus the seating capacity of Skydome. They've made some mistakes. They've made some good moves. And if you look at what's happening now, I mean, tonight's game has a fairly significant bearing on what happens to them in the next little while. And I think that, I mean, there's not going to be the buzz for the Toronto Argonauts that there was in the 1970s. We have to understand that. And I think that there's a lot more competition for the entertainment dollar in Toronto. There's a lot more competition for the entertainment dollar in Vancouver. In the largest corporate and broadcast center of the country, we have to be awfully certain that our franchise is a glowing example of what we can be. Whether that means it's the #1 franchise in the city, that probably is not the case. But we have to be able to find our spot in that city and build on that.
Michael, good luck.
Thank you very much.
All right, up next, Louie. Oh, we'll preview the last stand of Louie the Leg. Just 1 month until the Vanier Cup. Your match to catch this week, well, it's 9th-ranked Waterloo taking on 4th-ranked McMaster. First round of the OUA playoffs. Well, through 6 prime ministers, Louie kicked. Through 7 commissioners, Louie kicked. Through 4 decades, Louie kicked and kicked and kicked and kicked. And finally, Louie the Legend is winding down and will soon make his last kick. His last regular season home game comes tomorrow night, BC taking on Saskatchewan. Here's a look at the numbers in this one. Saskatchewan playing for next year, of course. BC getting ready for the playoffs. And, of course, honoring Louie Pasaglia. We're on at 10 Eastern. We have the pregame show, and we'll also stay on after the game to cover the postgame ceremony to honor Louie. And it's amazing that he stuck around this long. A lot of people thought he would retire years ago.
Yeah, you're right, James. I remember after the '94 Grey Cup win, there was really a strong sentiment out in Vancouver that Louie might retire, that maybe he should. I mean, after all, he just kicked the winning field goal on the final play of the Grey Cup at home to win the game. I mean, and we went to dinner in January, and I remember in a conversation I said to Louie, is this the optimum time for you to step aside? You can be remembered as one of the all-time heroes. Louie looked at me as if I had absolutely lost my mind. He said, hey, I'm still loving this. I love to compete, and I'm going to go for another 5 years. Well, Louie, you were wrong. You made it for 6, and you've been a real credit to the league and a great ambassador for the Canadian Football League.
We look at you that way sometimes, like you lost your mind as well. And, of course, our pregame show tomorrow dedicated almost entirely to Louie Pasaglia. Let us talk some football right now, though. And BC, again, they've locked up the playoff spot. What's their motivation going in? Well,
a lot of different things are motivating the BC Lions. I talked to Adam Rita, and he says a lot of individual goals are coming into play here now. Damon Allen looking for his first 5,000-yard season. Then you got Sean Millington looking to rush for 1,000 yards. Alfred Jackson looking to catch 1,000 yards receiving. You look at these things as if getting a paycheck and going out there and having the opportunity to play isn't enough. You get these little mind games going. But then Steve Barato comes in, talks to the team and says, hey, look, I'm a first-year head coach. You better be playing for me tonight or come the game time because you got to prove to me that you're worthy of being around here next year. So a lot of head games going around out there, Chris, and I'm looking at it like, hey, whatever works. But getting paid and having the opportunity to play is enough for me.
Well, that's enough for me. And with the Saskatchewan Roughriders, you got to look at the big picture, the whole season. Are they a better football team right now than they were at this point last year? They are. There's no doubt about that. But where I think there was the downfall was on the defensive side of the football. They totally committed to this high-risk, high-reward style of football, and it didn't work. They only had 30 sacks. That was last in the league, and they were -7 in turnovers. If you're going to pressure the quarterback, that whole purpose is to create those turnovers, give those short fields for your offensive football team. That was not accomplished. Now, saying that, if they stick with these young kids and if they get 1 or 2 key individuals in that system, I think they're going to be fine, because I equate them very closely with Edmonton. Edmonton in 1999 paid the price for their success in the year 2000. I think Saskatchewan Roughriders can have similar success in the 2001 football season, James.
All right, that leaves 2 other games, of course, for Sunday. A game that could mean everything to one team or it could mean nothing. And, yes, a Grey Cup rematch, 2 straight Grey Cups. In fact, Stampeders and Ticats. And, yes, nothing game you say for the Ticats. More on that in a moment. As for the Argos, yes, if the Bombers lose tonight, the Argos have a life against the Alouettes. And we know all the Argos are sitting around at a restaurant watching the game tonight. So, hey, Mookie. What's up, Calvin? Andre, how's it going? They're all watching, aren't they, Chris?
You know what? There's little bunches of Argonauts all over the place right now in the city of Toronto. They're all around the TV because this is it. This is their season. If the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, you go back to training camp, you think about it. It's over tonight. Now, if Edmonton wins, these guys are going to be high as a kite going into Montreal to get that playoff, because all those bad memories of the first season will be totally eliminated. Everything will be optimistic, and in some senses, this will be a successful season. Can they do it? Possibility, but Montreal is not going to lay down. They will play this game hard. Pringle will play. Calvillo will play. They'll try to keep that toughness edge. The Toronto Argonauts have an opportunity, but they're going to have to earn it by beating Montreal in Montreal, James.
Now, as for that other game, yes, Matt touched on it earlier. Technically a nothing game, I suppose, for Hamilton, but that couldn't be further from the truth in their case.
No, if there's ever a game that was a must-win situation for a team that secured a home playoff position, that is the Hamilton Tiger Cats. This football team has been in disarray over the last 7 weeks, going 1-6 the last 7 weeks. Last year, they were 9 out of 11 going into the playoffs on a roll. This team is nothing close to that. They have to prove to themselves and eliminate doubt in that locker room that they can compete with the elite in the Canadian Football League. The Hamilton Tiger Cats are in a very precarious situation. You don't want to get anybody hurt. Yes, Warren Muzik is going to get a hard look at middle linebacker because Willie Fells is hurt. But Danny McManus, you need him in the playoffs. You need to get him healthy. A fine line between going out there and winning this football game and being healthy for the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
And Matt, if you're the Calgary Stampeders, it's going to be nice to win, but much more importantly, they want to stay healthy. Earlier this week, they lost Rocco Romano in a game with a shoulder injury, one of the premier offensive linemen in the league. They cannot afford another key injury as they go into the playoffs. Why? I'll tell you why. Because the BC Lions and the Edmonton Eskimos are both gaining steam at the right time of the year. Edmonton's healthy. BC's got a powerful running game with Millington and Drummond, and I think they're going to really chase Calgary in the playoffs. If Calgary gets dinged up on Sunday, it's anybody's win in the West.
And yeah, that last regular season game of the year last year, Calgary and Hamilton, was technically a nothing game for both, and it was one of the best games of the entire season. Okay, when we return, we will focus in on our game. The Bombers and the Eskimos, 2 of the best young quarterbacks in the league, Nealon and Kahari Jones, with the new contract, trying to cash in a playoff bonus.
Sounds of the game.
And now he's just 3 yards away from breaking it. Allen looking to pass. Nobody open. Buying some time. Damon Allen going long. He's got Jackson. Touchdown! And with that, Damon Allen is the CFL's all-time leading passer.
He did indeed do it in style. Well, the great philosopher Kermit the Frog once said, "It's not easy being green." Well, Kermit, it's not easy stopping green either. And that is the task facing the Winnipeg Blue Bombers tonight. We'll find out more from Matt and Chris in tonight's virtual replay.
Virtual replay brought to you by Molson Canadian. I am Canadian.
Matt, sometimes the key to winning football on offense is to take advantage of defensive mistakes. But on this play, I can't tell whether this is an Argonaut mistake or good Edmonton execution.
Well, Chris, I think it's the latter by the Edmonton Eskimos, executing their offense against a Toronto defense, which is employing combination coverage. We have zone coverage to the field here by the Toronto Argonauts, and this is the field, the wide side. And the combination coverage continues with man coverage to the boundary. The Toronto Argonauts are simply caught, and the Edmonton Eskimos make them pay for running this combination coverage. Glenn Young is sucked up by the play action Nealon Green performs right there. We can see Glenn right here. He's flat-footed. Kes McCorvey's going to just run right by him from a zone area into a man area, and here's a good indication they were getting manned by Adrian Smith to the boundary there. Great play action, plenty of time from the offensive line, and then Nealon Green just throws a simple touchdown pass to Kes McCorvey. Here's a great look at McCorvey crossing the field, zone into man, and there's the man I'm talking about. Adrian Smith covered down, Martavius Houston covered down, and they're running short patterns here to open up Kes McCorvey high and up over the top, running from zone into the man area. Fantastic execution by the Edmonton Eskimos.
15 touchdown catches by Kes McCorvey this year.
Remember all the Argos we talked about watching the game? Right now they're all going, man, why'd you guys have to bring that
Why
up?
that play?
Yeah.
Hopefully they're in a bar somewhere, Jay.
Yeah, with the volume turned down.
And then what happened, doing what you said we're doing.
Well, for more on the Bombers-Eskimos game, let's check in once again with John Wells and Glenn Suter.
The importance of this game to the Winnipeg football franchise cannot really be overstated. The Bombers haven't made the playoffs since 1996, but they're feeling pretty good in Winnipeg this week because it's been a terrific 7 days.
What a week it has been for this organization. First of all, they got a new lease agreement which should guarantee around $600,000 a year for the franchise. That should stabilize this franchise financially. Second of all, yesterday they signed their starting quarterback Kahari Jones to a new 1 year plus an option deal, so that brings consistency to the lineup. They can wrap it all up perfectly with the win here tonight and get in the playoffs.
One of the problems the Bombers will have tonight is they will be without Albert Johnson III, and he is just the #1 all-purpose yards guy in the entire CFL.
Well, the last time these two teams played early in the season, Albert Johnson III set a CFL record for all-purpose yards in a single game when he had 474 yards in that football game. He has been a huge big play guy. In fact, of the 40 big plays for this franchise, 15 of them have come from Albert Johnson. He's not in the lineup tonight.
Rocky Henry will be, and Rocky and Kahari Jones go back to BC days.
Well, they were old friends in BC. Rocky Henry was on his way home after being released from the Lions 5 weeks ago, asked the organization here in Winnipeg if he could stay on the practice roster and really stay in shape, and boy, are they happy that he did, because he gets into the lineup tonight.
Critical for the Blue Bombers tonight, and it's not as if they're counting or anything, but it's been 1,454 days, Glenn, since the Bombers last made a playoff appearance.
Wow, our starting quarterbacks brought to you by Robbins Donuts, still rocking after all these years. We've talked about them. Nealon Green having a pretty good season, has come on of late. And Kahari Jones, again, also very consistent of late and rewarded with that big contract. Well, Dave Ritchie and company have to have a victory. It's as simple as that. They don't want to put their fate in the hands of the Montreal Alouettes on Sunday. We'll get you ready for kickoff next.
This is how...
Well, anytime's great for football, but now when it feels just right, we're gonna kick back, relax, watching football on a Friday night. It's Friday, and we're gonna be hard to It's Friday, from coast to coast, the CFL is Canada's game. Bad. Playing CFL football game is up for grabs. It's Friday night football tonight.
little shopping, hoping for playoff jerseys if they have any of those on sale in Winnipeg, Manitoba. It's been 4 years since the home team made the playoffs. Will the pain end tonight on Adidas Friday Night Football? Hey, folks, and welcome to the final episode of the season of this little nighttime soap opera that we call Adidas Friday Night Football. Will there be a cliffhanger ending? Will any characters be killed off? Will anyone find love? James Duthie along with Eric, Matt, and Chris Schultz. And after weeks of talking about all sorts of scenarios, tiebreakers and crossovers and win-loss combos, well, finally the math is nice and simple for us. If Winnipeg wins, they are in and have locked up the final playoff spot. Yes, simplicity is indeed bliss. And you think they're in for a tough time tonight?
You know what? The Winnipeg Blue Bombers are a good football team. They are not a great football team. Without G. Roy Simon, without Albert Johnson III, it's going to be tough. In particular, Johnson III, he is a great kick return specialist. This Blue Bomber team has not shown the ability to sustain drives all the way down the football field and get points. They have shown the ability to make singular big plays and get points. And without those two guys, they're a little bit easier to defend. Their defense has never come up, in my opinion, and really helped them out in a key game. They have to do it tonight. I'm not saying that they cannot win, but I think Edmonton has a distinct advantage tonight because of those two injuries, Matty.
Well, Chris, Don Matthews tells me that playoffs is like going to confession. You go in, you're absolved of all your indiscretions from the past, and when you come out, the slate is wiped clean. Well, I agree with it. He doesn't believe in momentum going into the playoffs. He believes that 0-0, everybody starts out of the gate fresh, neck and neck, and then it's to survival of the fittest at that point. Don Matthews understands that this game, he may take out his players that get nicked a little quicker than he would in the regular season. He looks to play Nealon Green for just about a half, and then he wants to get Dan Crowley some playing time, which is critical if in fact Nealon's hand gets any worse. He took 14 stitches in his left hand last week. Not a situation that's going to bother him. A lot of changes with the Edmonton Eskimos. Once again, you'll see Troy Mills in the backfield. You see A.J. Gash replacing Terry Ray, who's shelved for another week. Don Matthews has got 9 players on the injured reserve right now, and all these players are pretty much all-stars. If this team gets healthy and can continue to get healthy, again, I'm going to say they're going to be a factor, Eric.
Yeah, and as the Bombers win, as we've said several times tonight, they're in the playoffs for the first time since 1996. What a crowning achievement for Dave Ritchie in this rebuilding job that he's undertaken. And it's an opportunity, very simple, for them to control their own destiny at home, a place where they've had a lot of success this year. 5 of their 6 wins have come at Winnipeg Stadium. I think the key for them is to control Nealon Green. I look for them to spy Nealon with Lamar McGriggs. Now, what is a spy? That's a defender that you lock on a guy. If they lose tonight, they don't want it to be because of Nealon Green and his big play capability.
I want to go back to that confession booth thing. If you're ever in the confession booth, I want to be on the other side.
Have you ever stepped out of one of those?
That would be a long day.
You'd miss the playoffs. You would miss the playoffs.
You step out of one of those, James, and you got a little bounce in your step. I'm telling you.
68-7, the Eskimos won the last time these two teams met in the playoffs, and that was the last time the Bombers were in the playoffs. Don Matthews and company looking to perhaps help eliminate Winnipeg tonight.
He's one of the CFL's top young guns. Nealon Green has speed to burn. An ex-Blue Bomber, Grant Carter is right at home in the center of the Eskimo defense.
Kahari Jones has a fat new contract in his back pocket. Good news for the future of the franchise and for Lethal Weapon 4, including receiver Robert Gordon. But the future of the franchise starts here tonight.
Hey, Glenn, one last game at Winnipeg Stadium. One last chance for the Bombers to guarantee a playoff spot for the first time in 4 long years. Snow was in the forecast. So far, so good. It's a nippy 2 degrees. The wind southwest at 11K. Cold and frosty.
Don Matthews has won 9 out of his last 5 games with Nealon Green as a starting quarterback. The question is, how long does he keep him in the game tonight?
And Dave Ritchie feels like he's been on a roller coaster at the Red River exhibition all summer long. He knows the Bombers should have clinched a playoff spot long before this. And the Bombers might have been in the playoffs, except for a couple of unfortunate misses by Troy Westwood in early games this season.
Said in the paper he'd like an opportunity tonight to win it, to make it all go away.
And he wants to do that on the last play of the game. Underway in Winnipeg. Trouble for Troy Mills. He bobbled it. Bombers come up with it inside the 5 and down at the 1. First down, Winnipeg. Touchdown to go.
What a start for Bombers, you always wonder what kind of intensity level your football team will have when the game does not mean anything in the standings, and that's the situation the Edmonton Eskimos are in right now. Troy Mills cannot find the handle.
Doug Hocking can, and he almost slithered into the end zone. A great beginning for a desperate football team. The Bombers trying to clinch a playoff spot tonight. And they're set up about perfectly, I'd say, at the 1-yard line. First offensive sequence for Kahari Jones. And field position does not get better than this. From the 1. And no chance that time for Corey Philpott. Gordon and Stiegel, receivers number 1 and 2 for the Blue Bombers. Stoddard draws in, and up front, Mo Elwanibi is the Bombers' top offensive lineman this year. The starting lineup brought to you by Midas. 2nd and goal to go from the 1.
Well, they need big Mo Elwanibi to get off the ball right here and capitalize on this turnover.
This time, Philpott, 2nd effort, gets the touchdown.
And John, it was Mo Elwanibi who pulled on the play from right to left. He comes around and fills up the hole. When he gets there in a bad mood, pushes Singor Mobley out of there, and it was that effort along with Corey Philpotts to get him in the end zone.
Well, they're still optimistic, and there's a little more reason for optimism in Winnipeg in this 2000 season. The Bombers are scrambling for a playoff spot, and the exchange is bobbled there in the convert, so it'll be 6-0. And a little frosty out there. Kahari Jones had trouble hanging on to the ball, so it'll stand at 6-0. Easy to pick out the key play on this drive.
This is how it started. Troy Mills back into the ball game. Should see a lot of action in the backfield and returning kicks, but just kept peeking downfield to see where the tacklers were coming from. Never really looked down and secured the football, and Doug Hocking picked it up. That led to the big touchdown by Corey Philpott on a little second effort and a little help from Mo Elwanibi.
Doug Hocking, the hero of the moment for the Bombers. Philpott gets it into the end zone. And the convert was muffed, so it's 6-0. Field will be a little slippery here tonight. A little frost coming out of the artificial turf.
Love you, Colleen. Jalen, Tyson, baby. Twin boys, baby, all night for you. All night.
Well, Corey Philpott usually asks me to do that, so now it's done.
Coming to you this time, Chuck. Hey, boy, Chuck.
Troy Mills gets a second chance. And he's hammered at the 26-yard line. 13 on the return. Nealon Green has fired 22 touchdown passes in 14 games. Kes McCorvey led the Esks in touchdown catches with 15. Terry Vaughn is number 1 in yards and receptions. And up front, Bruce Beaton is the Edmonton nominee for CFL's Outstanding Lineman at the Dodge Player Awards Grey Cup week. 22 touchdowns, 6 interceptions.
Yeah, the 6 interceptions, the big key for Nealon Green. Hasn't thrown an interception since September 23rd.
Oh, 22nd.
Game versus Toronto. You saw that note too, I see.
I was trying to get to it more quickly. No catch. Kes McCorvey had it in his hands, and it trickled out.
Defensively for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, their outstanding defensive nominee is not in the lineup. That's Antonio Armstrong. Ryland Wickman is officially or unofficially their rookie nominee. More on that a little bit later on. Tom Europe has been the leader in that secondary. 4 interceptions for Tom Europe on the season.
Well, the CFL released Albert Johnson III as the outstanding rookie for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and then recanted on that. down and 10. Nealon Green steps up. He won't get away this time.
Well, Ryland Wickman comes up with the play. You know, and it's no slight against Ryland Wickman, who's having a great season in the linebacking corps for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. But Albert Johnson III was the nominee. He was voted unanimously to be the first pick and the rookie out of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers organization.
And rightly so. The Winnipeg media thought he was eligible.
That's right.
According to the rules laid down by the Football Reporters of Canada. CFL changed its mind. Ed Chalupka made a decision yesterday and inserted Wickman as the nominee because he was the second choice in Winnipeg. But I think it's still under discussion as far as I can figure out up and down press row here. Albert Johnson had a super season.
Well, once again,
absolutely sensational. Wickman had a
and he
terrific
did
year,
as well,
but not
yeah.
the same kind of year.
Well, once again, a situation in the league that not handled as well as it could have been.
The league suggested that if you played 2 games at any time, you lose your rookie status. Football Reporters of Canada were under the understanding that it was 4 games. And in fact, Albert Johnson III dressed for 2 for Saskatchewan last year. High snap barely got it away. And the Bombers' outstanding field position here on Gordon's return to the 45. Just a 29-yard punt. 5 yards on the return. The Bombers off to a quick start in Winnipeg.
Swipe your club card at Safeway for automatic.
Well, Troy Mills, this is how the game started. A fumble on the opening kickoff of the game.
He booted it.
He kicked it around a few times. That's called an error. And that led to this touchdown. Mo Alawanibi's going to pull here, and Singor Mobley can't get to the hole because Mo Alawanibi fills it up in a hurry. He pushes him right out of there. That gets Corey Philpott into the end zone and gets Winnipeg the lead they wanted to start this football game and the momentum they wanted.
Yeah, and more of it here too, Glenn, as the Bombers begin this drive at the 45. 3 receivers to the near side. Kahari Jones has room to run. Sliding safely for a first down inside the 35. He is a likable young man. Kahari Jones, 3 different leagues, 4 teams before finally really finding a home here in Winnipeg.
Great season, close to 4,000 yards. We'll go over that mark here this evening, and was very excited, said it was the best day of his life when he signed his contract yesterday. His extension for 1 year and 1 option.
He picked up 12 yards for a Bomber first down, and here's Philpott exploding for close to 6. Grant Carter made the tackle.
Well, it's an Edmonton defense has been riddled from injuries, and it hasn't stopped. In practice this week, Steve Anderson went down, so Philippe Girard replaces him at defensive end. Terry Ray also out of the lineup, and there's your secondary. Shannon Garrett, a former Winnipeg Blue Bomber. Ralph Staten also injured and not playing tonight.
Eskimos have had a rash of injuries from the start of the season right up until week 17. Second down and 4. Kahari Jones should have been picked up. Free one there. Jerome Peterson had his hands on it, and that one got away from Kahari.
Well, it was an overthrow, and you won't get an easier crack at an interception than Jerome Peterson got on that chance, because the ball was definitely overthrown. The ball seems a little slick here tonight. There's frost on the field, and every time the ball touches that field, it gets a little slick. We saw Troy Mills drop it. We've seen Jerome Peterson drop one. That one got out of the hands of Kahari Jones. It's hard to get the handle here tonight.
Field goal drive. It'll be spotted at the 34. Westwood hammers it through. Winnipeg on top. It's 9-0 on Adidas Friday Night Football from Winnipeg.
Adidas Friday Night Football on TSN is brought to you in part by Adidas. By Molson Canadian, I am Canadian. And by 3M Filtrate air cleaning filters. Breathe the difference.
Eskimos beginning at the 35-yard line. First down for Nealon Green. Hitting on 62% of his passes. He moves to the shotgun. Troy Mills tries the left side. And he's got about 5 out across the 40. What to watch tonight?
Well, it's going to be a balancing act for Don Matthews. How long does he keep the starters in, including Nealon Green? This game does not mean anything, really, to the Edmonton Eskimos. For the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, playoff intensity. We've seen it here early in the game. They got that first major off the turnover on the kickoff return, and both teams want to stay healthy, or at least be as healthy as they can be. If, in fact, Winnipeg make the playoffs, Edmonton's already in.
Yeah, and the game is next week.
That's right.
The playoffs begin a week from Sunday. Second down, less than 5 to go. Catch made for a first down. Nigel Williams sliding on the turf and making the catch.
And Nealon Green has got a glove on his non-throwing arm. It's all wrapped up there. He was injured last week, got a cut across the back of his hand on that non-throwing hand. So he's playing hurt.
Yeah, it's a 12-inch gash on his left hand, and one would wonder why he is playing tonight with nothing really on the line. But the question might be how long he stays in. This is Mills, spun around and dropped.
Well, John,
Matthews may yank him early.
Yeah, and it's an interesting question, but it's a definite balancing act for Don Matthews. He wasn't tipping his hand before the game as to how long Nealon Green would stay in, but I did talk to Dan Crowley, and he said he expects to play. So don't be surprised to see Dan Crowley in this game early. They want to keep Nealon sharp, though, and that's why he started.
Fine balancing act when you're looking at injuries to your quarterback and heading to the playoffs. No question about that. Second and almost 10, and this will not be a first down. Catch made and the hit applied. Catch by Mills and the hit by Dave Donaldson. And he really hammered him.
Well, they need Dave Donaldson to start picking up his game. He has struggled of late over the last 3 weeks at the halfback spot. Had a great start when he got the start at that position. They need him to really pick up his game, because that's usually where the #1 receivers will line up, right on Dave Donaldson, and he comes out of his own defense and makes a nice tackle on Troy Mills. Winnipeg 36. Manitoba Bison.
Yeah,
they play in the playoffs tomorrow.
One of a couple of Winnipeggers on this Blue Bomber team this year. Fleming standing back near his 37. Across the 40 to hit a high one. First one only traveled 29 yards. This is Robert Gordon returning for Winnipeg, and well covered by Eskimo special teams.
UBC Thunderbirds are in town right now, and they will take on the University of Manitoba Bison.
Yeah, that's tomorrow afternoon at the University of Manitoba. Your pal Jay Preschuk will be.
Yeah, Preschuk's the coach for the UBC Thunderbirds. And up and down here. And the Bison have been awesome. They're a very big team, so definite favorites in that one tomorrow afternoon. And Mark Norr, of course, the UBC Thunderbird, is on the opposite sideline for the Edmonton Eskimos.
Yeah, and he's going to hang around and watch the game tomorrow.
That's right.
So is Craig Carr, another member of the Eskimos and a Bison graduate. First down, Kahari Jones pulls it down and now has room to run to the near side. Hopped over one, and he's got close to 8 yards.
Well, we talked about him signing his big contract yesterday afternoon, a very big day for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and really what it does is it allows Kahari Jones to just go play football now. He doesn't have to think about that contract or where he's going to be over the next couple of years. This is his home now. He can relax and play some football, and they need him to be playing his best, obviously, tonight and next week in round 1, if in fact they make it. Which is a big if still.
Well, it's early. 9-0. The Bombers have the lead. Philpott has run well a couple of times tonight.
And you think there's a few Toronto Argonauts watching this game saying, yeah, that is a big if.
I think Michael has got them all gathered around a TV set somewhere.
That's right. Well, basically, Winnipeg Blue Bombers have to win the game to wrap it up. If they don't win, and if they tie or lose the game, they hand control over the Toronto Argonauts.
Now, the Argonauts
have to win in Montreal, which is not real easy.
No.
For any teams.
That would not be easy, but as the Argos look in now, they still have hope. Jones almost intercepted. Robert Gordon was the intended target.
Well, the good news is we go right down to week 18 before the whole playoff picture is solidified, and there's Montreal's locked up first place. They will host the Eastern Final. Hamilton will host the semifinal. Now, between the other two,
it's Winnipeg or Toronto, and either win next weekend.
Yeah, and if, like we say, if Winnipeg ties or loses, it all goes to Sunday. Toronto and Montreal to see who gets in.
On first down, Kahari Jones has Stiegel for the first time. Milt Stiegel made the catch.
One of the things that Kahari Jones said yesterday that I thought it was interesting is that he's talked about his talented receiving core. They call them Lethal Weapon 4 because the four of them have been pretty awesome all season long, including Milt Stiegel and Robert Gordon, who have been 1 and 1A for Kahari Jones this year. But he said this is one of the things that he's excited about. Signed a new contract, a year and an option, and now he can work with the same receiving core for the next couple of years, and they can really do some good things together. And that's one thing he's really excited about doing.
Bombers feel fairly confident that Albert Johnson III and G-Roy Simon might be available next week for the playoff game if they get there.
Well, it's been a dynamic duo on one side. We look at Robert Gordon and Milt Stiegel, and boy, it's G-Roy Simon and Albert Johnson combined for over 1,500 on the other.
Bombers make the first down by inches. Kahari stands in and looks long, far side. No flag there. Woohoo! Pretty close, I thought. Rocky Henry was the target. Playing his first game as a Blue Bomber.
Well, it
what did you think?
It looked like Rocky Henry got in behind the coverage, except for the fact that the ball was thrown a little bit behind him and he had to gear it down. You mentioned off the opening of the show, Rocky Henry released from the BC Lions. No, I don't think there was a penalty there.
There was contact, no penalty, I think.
And a little pressure on Kahari Jones. Released by the BC Lions 5 weeks ago. On his way home, he's driving, just thought he'd stop in and see Kahari Jones. Old friend of his from BC days.
Yeah, they had a couple of cups of coffee.
Stayed on the practice roster here ever since. And he said he wanted to do it just to stay in shape.
Pump fake by Kahari Jones down the near side, looking for Gordon. And you can see the line coming off the turf. They say no catch. Gordon is trying to sell it. Might be worth a closer look.
He's trying to sell it, but he's not arguing the call, and the call was no catch. But he did a nice job of selling it. You can't be in better coverage. I mean, that's really as good as you can cover a receiver down the field.
You couldn't sell that one.
Dwight Henry was as good as he could be, and it was good enough to cause the incompletion. And no, Robert Gordon's not going to sell the official on that.
Bob Cameron is out for the season. Troy Westwood has been kicking for the Bombers and punting very well lately. Spoke too soon. That's a little wobbler off the side of his foot. Terry Vaughn finds a seam up the middle, and he's out to the 35. 18 on the return, 1st and 10 Eskimos. When we return to Adidas Friday Night Football. Quick start for the Bombers on a great night for it in Winnipeg. Here's Greg Musselman down there.
Okay, thanks, John. You know, it's been a great week for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Yesterday, of course, getting Kahari Jones, the contract deal there is done. And then on Wednesday, the Bombers and Winnipeg Enterprises signed a new deal that will give the Bombers up to $250,000, maybe even $500,000 a year in additional revenue. And if they win tonight, it'll be a 3-for-3 week. Back to you guys.
3 for 3 doesn't get much better than that for a team that has really struggled in the last 4 seasons. First down, Eskimos.
Well, that new lease agreement is really a key for the Winnipeg organization. They get 100% of concessions, 100% of parking. They also get the rights to other events held in the stadium, which can generate a whole bunch more revenue for them. So it'll help to stabilize the franchise financially, and that's something that has to be done across this league and is going in the right direction.
Gain of 6, 2nd and 4. We chipped in a little bit tonight, buying a Smoky down there from the concessionaires, sitting right about here.
Yeah, it's right about the midsection right now, but it was a good one.
Little drop play, and Mills will have the first down. tough start for Troy tonight, but he's making up for it now with a 9-yard gain there.
Yeah, but Troy needs to break off the rust. He needs to get going and get the football in his hands and get back comfortable in the backfield and running the ball. He's key to this Edmonton offense. With Troy Mills running successfully inside, Nealon Green becomes more potent and more dangerous to the outside, running the football. So they're a great tandem back there together. They need to get him crisp again.
Mills fumbled the opening kickoff, and it led to a Blue Bomber touchdown. Green with time to throw. Now he's out of there. Flags are down. Nealon Green escapes, and he'll turn this into close to a first down. First penalty of the night.
Flags are right in the holding area,
which would indicate it's against the Eskimos.
In the holding zone.
Holding, Edmonton 62. First down repeated.
That's Bruce Beaton.
Well, now, wait a minute. He's the nominee for outstanding lineman for the Edmonton Eskimos. He wasn't holding. They must have got the number wrong.
I think they might have got it confused.
Yeah, it happens to the best of them. Some say that you could call holding on every single play.
And thankfully they don't.
Oh, boy. There's been nights when it's been close.
Or at least felt like that.
Yeah.
How many weeks ago was it that we saw it? I think it's CFL first 6 flags on one play. Everybody threw up.
There'll be another one here.
Green escapes. Dragged down from behind at the 45, well short of the original first down marker. And this one is looking to go against the Blue Bombers.
Well, Ron Warner came off the edge, and he was about 4 snap counts early. He was behind Nealon Green, I believe, before he got the football. Ron Warner with 3 sacks in 8 games for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Playing pretty well up front. They rank 4th in the league against the run. You see him to the left of your screen coming way offside. Just felt once he had that momentum going forward, might as well just keep with it. If I'm going to be offside, I'll be way offside.
1st and 15. That's what the Eskimos are looking at now. Green shotgun. Got it away. Hervey made the catch. And he's halfway to what they needed for a first down. Ed Hervey out near the 55.
Well, we had the holding call on Bruce Beaton earlier, their nominee for outstanding lineman, and he went one-on-one with Alfred Payton, got called for holding on the first one, and here they go again battling at it. Alfred Payton off the edge, trying to get to the outside, and Beaton does a pretty nice job. Now he's got his hands again outside the shoulder pads, and that's usually where they call that holding. There again, they could very easily have called holding on Beaton again there, right in that play.
Injured Blue Bomber being attended to is Patrick Garth. He's down near the midfield stripe. Bombers on top. It's 9-0. A quick timeout from Adidas Friday Night Football.
Lamar McGriggs has a tough job here tonight. His job will be to mark Nealon Green. Wherever Nealon Green runs, he'll be spied by Lamar McGriggs. Easier said than done.
You're absolutely right. This is 2nd down. A lot to go for Nealon, but he'll get his first down. And look who was right with him, but after the first down, it was McGriggs forcing him out.
Well, he tracked him all the way across the field. He's not dropping at all into coverage. All his job is tonight is to go where Nealon Green goes. And on that last play, he followed him to the left and then chased him all the way back to the right. Lamar McGriggs is right there. Now watch, he'll slide over to the left. He's with Green right in front of him. Green starts running, and he chases him back the other way and runs him right out of bounds.
But not before Nealon Green picked up the first down in 11 yards. Eskimos' deepest penetration so far. They're at the Bomber 46. Green is a man wide open, far side, and overthrew him. Nigel Williams.
Lamar McGriggs was right on Nealon Green. Again, he didn't take any kind of drop into pass coverage. Now, one thing that Nealon Green may go to, if the linebacker in Lamar McGriggs continues to come up and cover Nealon Green's running, then he may try and throw it in behind him, right in that zone where Lamar McGriggs would normally be standing. So you watch on this play. Lamar McGriggs right here, coming up out of his coverage. Now that leaves a void in behind him. Can Nealon Green find it and get the football to one of his receivers?
Second and 10, Edmonton.
Here he comes again.
And Green finds a huge opening up the middle. He'll have the first down at the 35. A little quarterback draw almost.
That's why I said easier said than done when you talk about Lamar McGriggs. Again, he's got to track Nealon Green. He does the perfect play. He sees him. Watch this. He's looking at him all the way. He sees it. He fills the hole, but he can't execute the tackle. And that's where the easier said than done part comes in. Look at that. Right up the hole, clean. Has the perfect shot at him right there and misses the tackle. Green slips it and takes off for the first down.
He is elusive. Second leading rusher on the Eskimos this season. 96 carries, 724 yards coming in. Nealon Green. 3 carries for 30 yards so far tonight for number 15. Edmonton's drive continues at the Bomber 36. Huge hole for Troy Mills. And he's inside the 20. 18 yards for Mills. He had some pretty good blocking up front.
Well, yeah, Alfred Payton gets pushed right out of the hole by Chris Morris. Look at that drive block from Chris Morris on Alfred Payton. He does not allow him to get anywhere near the play. Lamar McGriggs had his eyes on Nealon Green. He got blocked at the line of scrimmage and couldn't get there to make the tackle, and Troy Mills has a huge seam.
Eskimos are at the Bomber 18, threatening to score for the first time tonight on the final play of the opening quarter. Nice fake by Green. No one home when he tossed it to the sidelines. Nigel Williams was the closest Eskimo receiver. Winnipeg on top on an early touchdown. The Eskimos threaten to hit the board as the second quarter begins in just a moment.
Adidas Friday Night Football on TSN at the quarter.
Well, he's trying to get back in their good books now, but for a while there, we know the least favorite player of the Toronto Argonauts was Troy Mills. They must have been yelling at their television screens on that first play. Good start for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, but you're not convinced they're in a little bit of trouble still.
Not yet, because you watched Kahari Jones on a couple of these plays. Both of them were very close to being interceptions, and if they were, we would have a completely different football game. Here's the first one to Jerome Peterson. Poorly thrown football, and here's the second one to Dwayne Provo. This one is a little bit easier to define. If that ball was thrown behind him just another half yard, that would have been an interception. Kahari Jones still has to play his best football and protect that football at all costs.
Chris, I agree. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers not playing good offense right now. They got a turnover, and they're on the 1 yard line. Takes them almost 2 plays to punch it in. And then Kahari Jones is under a lot of duress, Chris, and I think that's why the ball is being thrown errantly. The defensive line, the Edmonton Eskimos, and Gerard, Brown, Williams, and Reese have been in Kahari Jones' lap. He's not able to follow through. He's throwing off his back foot, and this is tough in cold conditions like that. The ball doesn't have a lot of give. You got people living in your lap. It's tough to throw off your heels. I'm telling you, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are not a sharp football team right now.
And, Matt, I want to mention a guy that doesn't get a lot of publicity. His name is Wade Miller. He's always been a key member of the Bombers' special teams. Miller's a linebacker by trade, but this year they've moved him to fullback in short-yarded situations. And that opening situation in 2nd and goal, his block was the key block that allowed Corey Philpott to score. Wade Miller, a guy that doesn't give a lot of publicity, but a good football player.
A lot on the line in this one, but these guys will have a tough time matching their first matchup this year. Remember that one, week 3, 51-49 Eskimo win, perhaps the best game of the regular season. Back to Winnipeg.
Bombers have the lead, but it's hard to justify it when you look at these stats, just 10 yards passing.
Well, just 4 first downs, 10 yards passing. They don't have Albert Johnson, and they don't have G-Roy Simon, and maybe it's showing a little bit. They do have Milt Stiegel and Robert Gordon, their best receivers, but the balance is what's been so effective for Winnipeg this year.
And the Eskimos have their best drive of the night. Rolling along here, the Bombers have points off a turnover and a poor kick. Actually speaking, they ended up with excellent field position on their third possession. Touchdown on the first and the fumble by Troy Mills. So now the Eskimos can get right back into this one, looking at 2nd and 10 Green has time, looks to the end zone, and he missed. Kes McCorvey was the target, number 85, and Nealon led him a little too far.
Well, first of all, Nealon Green did a nice job of looking off Tom Europe to allow Kes McCorvey to open up. He runs a simple seam pattern, and watch how Nealon Green's going to look this way. When he looks that way, see how he's looking that way? Tom Europe is going with his eyes. He's way over there. That opens up the seam to the backside. And here's Kes McCorvey. See, he gets past Nash. Nash is not responsible for him. He's looking for help from his safety. His safety can't get there because he was looked off from Nealon Green. Ball just wasn't on target.
Sean Fleming good on 33 of 52, 64%. And he won't get this one away. The touchdown toss is there. Hammered at the goal line. Touchdown Edmonton. Justin Ring held onto the ball, and he was hammered right on the goal line.
Oh, and a team has nothing to lose. Why not? Backup quarterback Dan Crowley is the holder. He takes off running. And listen to the hit at the end of the play. Big time hit coming there from Marcus Howell on Justin Ring. Hangs onto the ball.
Dan Crowley.
I'll tell you though, it was a called play from the Edmonton Eskimos. I could tell by the way Sean Fleming went to block on the backside.
Ineligible receiver, Edmonton 46. Third down repeated.
Whoa!
But he was ineligible, not by number, but by where he lined up.
Interesting to look at the formation here.
Well, he's off the line of scrimmage. It's a called fake. There he is right there in your screen. He's going to slip out of the backfield.
So he lined up incorrectly, Justin Ring.
Called play. You see how Sean Fleming was blocking the backside. That's an indication that it was a definite call and not a fire drill. But Ring had lined up in the wrong position. So now they'll have to line up and kick it.
So the Eskimos get to try it again. Glenn, quite honestly, I didn't see a flag down, but I was looking at the play at the goal line. So the flag, if it was dropped, had to be back well behind the line of scrimmage, obviously. And it wouldn't have fallen until after the catch, right? They wouldn't have thrown it until after that. Fleming hammers it through, and the Eskimos get on the board. On Sean Fleming's first field goal of the night. It's 9-3.
Swipe your club card.
Explanation continues here as Don Matthews tries to get the lowdown on why the touchdown wouldn't count. We have figured out that they don't normally throw a flag on an ineligible receiver like that, but we're trying to figure out why Justin Ring with a number 36 is an ineligible receiver.
Well, exactly.
Because the number is live, right?
And where he lined up looked legal.
No touchdown. Eskimos settle for a field goal. Bombers try and get the offense rolling with Kahari Jones. First down, a wobbler, and Jones has been off the mark tonight. Mobley was covering, and Stiegel was the intended receiver.
Well, that's the guy they got to get going, no question about it. Stiegel just running the out on Singor Mobley.
Footing's a little bit of a problem. He skidded there a little bit.
The ball thrown a little bit behind him. Well, here's the official rule on that Justin Ring. Any player who is identified by the number as an eligible receiver and who at the snap of the ball is occupying a position either at the end of the line of scrimmage or in the backfield is eligible. Apparently, he didn't report as an eligible receiver in Justin Ring.
Flags are down. Kahari Jones looks for the first down, and he may have it. Depending on the infraction, he's got 11 yards. Penalty marker was dropped in the Blue Bomber backfield.
Holding, Winnipeg 57. Second down repeated.
Brett McNeil that time.
Let's look back at that field goal formation. And this is Ring right here. Now this looks like an eligible position to be in because he's off the line of scrimmage. The eligible numbers are 0 to 39, 70 to 99. Ineligible is 40 to 69. Justin Ring wears 36, so that's why Don Matthews is trying to get an explanation on the sideline as to why that was an illegal play.
Penalty against the Bombers makes it 2nd and 20. Big play needed here. This is Corey Philpott. Super burst of speed for Philpott, and he crawls for the first down. But they'll rule him back.
Well, they're saying that Shannon Garrett touched him a little bit down there.
And his knees touched the ground. But watch again here.
Well, his knees are allowed to touch the ground. If no one touches him, he can get up and keep going. Now, did Shannon Garrett touch him on the sideline, number 23? See, he goes down right there. Well, he definitely hit him.
Yeah, he
took 3 steps, but that would be considered a tackle. He'd be down and where his knee touches the ground right there, which is just short.
For a moment, Dave Ritchie thought of going for it. Is it possible that Justin Ring, listed as a linebacker, becomes ineligible and wasn't listed as an eligible receiver on the
because the question
card?
Because the question, we go talk to Neil Payne about that, and he said that he wasn't on a card submitted to the officials early saying that he would be an eligible receiver during the game. Doesn't necessarily have to report as he comes on the field.
Bombers get a decent bounce, and there's no return for the Eskimos. Vaughn is wrapped up and fired down at the 25. Bombers on top by 6. It's 9-3. Nealon Green and Lamar McGriggs will see a little bit of each other tonight. McGriggs, the Bomber linebacker, filling in for Antonio Armstrong. His timing was pretty good, arriving in Winnipeg and finding a job. And Nealon's timing's been pretty good all season, hasn't it? 62% completion percentage, 3,000 yards passing, 22 touchdowns, and he's missed a couple of games. Not much space, only a couple of yards for Troy Mills.
Well, the Edmonton Eskimos will move on past that play that didn't count for them. Don Matthews getting an explanation on the sideline as to what could have happened. I just talked to Neil Payne up here. He gave me an explanation as to what he thinks happened on the play.
He is the supervisor of officials and game observer for this one tonight. 2nd down and 8. Nealon Green in trouble and had to unload. So the Eskimos will kick it away.
Now, what Neil Payne said to me on the faked field goal that wasn't is that if Justin Ring is listed on the card as a player who can block on the field goal formation inside the tackles or inside the line of scrimmage, and there's an eligible player on the line of scrimmage in front of him at the tight end position, then he cannot catch a pass in the field. Now, Neil Payne was just guessing as to that was the call, but obviously the officials right on top of it. There was no argument, and Don Matthews got his explanation, and we move on.
Robert Gordon standing back near the Bomber 37. A little heat on Fleming. He gets a high kick away. Here's Gordon. Looks for room to the outside and finds a little bit, but there's a penalty marker down on the return. 6 on the return, 43 on the punt. And I think it's going against the Bombers.
Well, it'll be a big loss for them because this would have been the best field position they've had in the game since the opening kickoff when they were down on the 1-yard line of the Edmonton Eskimos. Well, very close to it.
Very close to it. I'm buying in on that one.
Well, in the last couple series anyway.
Absolutely.
And they need some momentum offensively.
And certainly in the second quarter.
Winnipeg 55.
We've
That's
narrowed it down.
5-point possession gain. We also have holding Winnipeg 3. That penalty is not applied. First down.
Couple of holding calls against the Bombers. And that'll chase Winnipeg back inside the 30. First down on Adidas Friday Night Football. There's a happy face. We figured out who this guy was. It's Braden Van Conant because he's got the 60s on his face.
Dave Van Conant's younger son, and he's wearing the white jersey. See, Dave Van Conant right now has got the blue on because they're the home team. Now he's got Dave's white jersey on, but he's got to tell Braden that he's going to need that jersey. If they do make the playoffs, they'll need it next week because they go on the road.
Had the logos on the forehead and everything. He's ready. Bombers would like to get this offense into gear. Kahari Jones has struggled a little bit so far, even though he has the lead. And there's the interception. First of the night, picked off by Chris Hardy of the Eskimos. Or rather, Torrey Hunter.
Well, Torrey Hunter has been a thorn in the side of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers now in both games. Game early in the season, remember Torrey Hunter was the guy who slapped Troy Westwood before he went to kick a tying field goal and missed it. Talked a lot about him, and he wanted to go over there and show Winnipeg that, yeah, I'm at it again.
Fourth interception of the season for Torrey Hunter, and not a solid beginning for the Bomber offense. Kahari Jones has struggled. Nealon Green back at the controls for Edmonton. Nice pass. Vaughn was the intended receiver.
What a play by Tom Europe. It was a difficult situation for Tom Europe, who had a choice. There's two receivers in front of him. There's Tom Europe. Now, one receiver's going to layer in front of him. It'll be Ed Hervey, and the other one's down the seam. It's probably the toughest position to be in as a free safety. There goes Ed Hervey right there. He spins out of that one, recovers, and comes back to Terry Vaughn down the seam and gets there in time. That's a big play by Tom Europe.
Eskimos are 2nd and 10. Green looks to the near side, just got it away. Too high again for Terry Vaughn. And there's a penalty down as
Alfred
Green is down.
Alfred Payton came off the edge. It looked like he may have hit Nealon Green a little bit late.
Major foul, roughing the quarterback. Winnipeg 57, first down.
They're saying 57, but it is 56. Alfred Payton.
Alfred Payton right up here. He's going to chase Nealon Green all the way to this side of the field. Number 56 gets outside of Chris Morris. The run is on. Ball 1-2, and down he goes. And he did it with the forearm across the head of Nealon Green. And see that forearm come up high to the head of Nealon Green, and no question they're going to throw the flag for that.
Jerron Bolden came up limping a little bit after that last play. He stays in. Here's Nealon Green on first down. Near the 47, he's got about 3, maybe 4 yards. Nealon Green averages 7.5 yards per rush. That's a huge weapon to have, and he's rushed for over 700 yards this year.
Well, and there's some good tacklers that are having trouble here. Look at Alfred Payton again, cuts in there and has a chance at him in the backfield. He can't get him. He runs right out of Payton's arms. We've seen him beat Lamar McGriggs a couple of times. He's tough to tackle. He's got tremendous speed.
2nd and 6. Green to the far side. A great hit on Kez McCorvey.
Well, that's what gang tackling can do for you. Brandon Hamilton breaks up there first. He gets a piece of Kez McCorvey, but as Kez McCorvey spins out of that one, gets some help from Harold Nash. Against Winnipeg, Kez McCorvey had 4 touchdowns early in the season. You think they're going to pay a little attention to him tonight?
I think they've spotted him. He's got 15 on the season, so he's right up there with the leaders. That ties Stiegel for 3rd in the CFL with receiving touchdowns. Marcus Howell drops deep as the Eskimos try another long field goal. This from 42. Fleming is under it, and no mistake about it. Sean Fleming gets the Eskimos 3 points closer. Huge game for this Winnipeg Blue Bomber franchise, without question. It's been 4 years of frustration in Winnipeg since the Bombers last made an appearance in the playoffs in 1996 and got absolutely hammered by the Eskimos at Commonwealth Stadium. It's been a long road back. That loss cost Cal Murphy his job. Along came Jeff Reinbold. Tough times in Winnipeg through that era. And Dave Ritchie didn't have a great time here as the Bombers missed the playoffs in his first year as head coach last year. Tonight, the Bomber offense hasn't had much steam. 5 yards for Philpott there.
Well, this is a good idea by the Winnipeg offensive coordination to get Corey Philpott involved. Very simply, and this is a team, when you look at it overall, they ranked last in the league running the ball, but it is a very important part of their game. In the 6 wins for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, Philpott has averaged close to 100 yards in those games. In their 10 losses, that has dropped to 43 yards. So when he gets close to 100, they win the game.
Pretty simple, isn't it? Kahari Jones well short of the first down as Stiegel made the catch.
Well, and you look at it, and it's about a yard, and you know, and Milt Stiegel kind of hides in behind the offensive line and then tries to sneak out. The reason he's doing that is trying to use motion to get an opening and to get some separation from Torrey Hunter, who was covering him on the play. But he didn't get down to first down yardage and come back, which may force Dave Ritchie into gambling in this situation.
Close enough to measure. And this will determine what Ritchie will do here. Well,
he doesn't have to.
It certainly will determine what he'll do. He'll go 1st and 10. 4 great receivers in Winnipeg this season. Stiegel and Gordon.
Yeah, these guys are
1 and 2.
Those guys are out tonight. But that's pretty lethal receiving core, and that's why they're called Lethal Weapon 4 here in Winnipeg. And Robert Gordon's having his best season to date, over 1,300 yards.
Yeah, 87 catches, 7 touchdowns coming into this one tonight. Corey Philpott is tough to bring down.
Again, a little running success on first down, though, to bring some balance to this offense.
How about Wade Miller, number 34? He was an outstanding special teams player and backup linebacker. Had some injury problems last year. This year, he hasn't played every game, but now they've got him as a fullback coming out of the backfield, and he's caught a couple of passes.
You know what, John? It's tough if you change from left corner to right corner or right guard to left guard. That's a hard enough adjustment to make. When you go from special teams player to starting fullback, that is very difficult to do.
2nd down and 5, and that one is batted down. Grant Carter got a big mitt on it.
Now, Grant Carter just went up and rejected that 3-point attempt from Kahari Jones. He's going from 3-point land, trying to throw one up, and Grant Carter says, I don't think so. Grant Carter doing his Michael Jordan right there, gets up and just knocks that one down. Watch Carter, number 47, on the right of your screen.
Blue Bomber, who left Winnipeg rather unceremoniously. 3rd down kick, and not deep for Westwood.
Well, he's getting some pressure.
Bombers got a decent roll on it. Vaughn goes down to pick it up and draws flags from every direction. 38 on the punt. No yards against the Blue Bombers. 9-6 on Adidas Friday Night Football. First and 10, the Eskimos. Beginning at the Edmonton 28, and with Troy Mills, he's run well since an opening play bobble.
Well, you see the series of plays that Nealon Green and Troy Mills work together so well. What they do is they run this play from the beginning of the game to the very end, and it sets up the outside run for Nealon Green. When he gives that ball to Troy Mills up in the middle, he always continues with the fake to the outside. And what he wants to see is, does the defensive end respect me out in the outside? If he doesn't, I'm going to pull the ball and keep it myself.
2nd and 2. Mills again, no problem. The Eskimo march continues, and Edmonton's offense is really outplaying the Blue Bomber offense so far.
See the series, though, John? You see Troy Mills up the middle, and Nealon Green bounces to the outside. It's the same series again, and it all looks the same. Take a look at what we're talking about. This is the play before. Up in the middle to Mills. Nealon Green this way. Watch this. Okay, here's Nealon. He gives him the ball. See, continue the fake out here. Okay. Now that's setting up the run to the outside.
And he faked it there again. Now Green in some trouble. Spun to the turf. Rylan Wickman. Second time he's gotten through. Second sack by the Bombers, both by number 55.
Well, the media here in Winnipeg may want Albert Johnson III to be the nominee for the Rookie of the Year, but Rylan Wickman is making an argument for himself, isn't he? Having a pretty good game here tonight in the most important game of the franchise.
Yeah, and he's played well all year. It's just that I thought, and everybody else thought, that Albert Johnson III was sensational this year. That's the way the Winnipeg media voted in the first round of the Dodge Player Award balloting. Green in trouble. Looking at second and an acre and a bit. Somehow got away for a second. And that's Alfred Payton celebrating there.
And again, John, it's the rookie linebacker, Rylan Wickman, who really creates the problems for Nealon Green, because Green wanted to go to Troy Mills out of the backfield. Watch Rylan Wickman drop with him. Number 55, see, he goes out there with Troy Mills, and now he can't get open. Nealon Green's in trouble. Wickman stays right with him in the open field.
Three sacks by the Bombers now. Kicking situation for the Eskimos as Gordon drops back, standing near his 35. Fleming puts it up. Bouncing and rolling right past Gordon. Reminiscent of the opening play of the game on the kickoff. Gordon has some steam, and he gets most of it back on a pretty nice return after misjudging the punt. 21 on the return.
Well, we go back to Rylan Wickman and the 3 or 4 plays in a row that he has made for this Winnipeg defense, and is officially the nominee right now for Rookie of the Year in Winnipeg, although the FRC is saying they want to go back to Albert Johnson III.
No,
so
it's confusing. The CFL head office released it as Albert Johnson III earlier in the week. So there's a little bit of miscommunication going on. Anyway, those are the nominees for rookie.
Either way, Mark Boerichter's got to be a front runner in that category anyway for Calgary, but Albert Johnson and Rylan Wickman both, both very deserving candidates, and it's a testament to the scouting staff here with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers when you have 2 rookies playing that well. Now, Albert Johnson was in Regina last year, and we mentioned that.
But really didn't play, dressed for 2 games with the Rough Riders. Near side, Rocky Henry made the catch, but he got nowhere. Maybe 3 yards. Let's see where they spot it.
Talking to Dave Ritchie about Rocky Henry, obviously they're very happy that he decided to stay here, but they think he might be a guy that they can keep around in the future as well.
3 minutes till halftime. The Bombers got a hot start. The Eskimos are roaring back. It's a 3-pointer on Adidas Friday Night Football from Winnipeg. Back at Winnipeg Stadium, Bomber fans have really had a lot of fun watching this team this year. Coming up at the half, the boys will be ready to come in on the Bombers, the Eskimos, and everything. Football. What Winnipeg really has to do is get Stiegel involved here, huh?
If your hair's not happy, you're not happy. Yeah, Milt Stiegel has got to get involved. There's no question. Last time these 2 teams played, 6 for 121 for Milt Stiegel. He's had 2 catches in this football game. Not enough.
Second down and 6 to go for Winnipeg. Kahari has looked a little nervous at times. He's got Stiegel here.
Torrey Hunter was right with him. Like, right with him. They were going to Miltstiegel the whole way. He was coming in motion again, trying to create some room by using motion. But look at Torrey Hunter slide over. Now he runs the out and then goes down the sideline. Hunter's not buying that little out move and is right there with him and forces him to go right to the sideline. When he jumps to catch it, he lands out of bounds.
Yeah, out of bounds. So Westwood steps in again, averaging 43 yards per punt so far. In relief of Bob Cameron, Vaughn is back. Eskimos will come out of this with decent field position. It's Vaughn, and stops short of the 50. It's Love You Louie night tomorrow at BC Place. We'll be there.
Looking forward to that, to pay tribute to Louis Pasaglia in his last game as a BC Lion, as a player. Now,
yeah, like the Energizer Bunny, just kept kicking and kicking and kicking and kicking. 25 years of kicking.
And probably having his best year kicking at 90% this season.
In field goals, certainly.
I might add, yeah.
So we'll be there at BC Place Stadium. Rough Riders are in town.
Tremendous career for Louis Pasaglia, and we'll enjoy that game tomorrow night.
Not his last game, but his last game at BC Place. Nealon Green had a lot on that one for a first down. Kez McCorvey.
We mentioned Milt Stegall and how he had to get involved in the Winnipeg offense. Well, Kez McCorvey has been a go-to guy for Nealon Green in this offense, and I mentioned 4 touchdowns the last time these two teams played. Kez McCorvey had a breakout game, and really there was no one in the Bombers secondary that night that could cover him.
899 yards receiving coming in from McCorvey. Here's Nealon Green escaping. First down, lost the ball. And I'm not sure if the whistle had gone. It's recovered by McCorvey there.
Well, I don't even know if it'd be ruled a fumble. I think he may be ruled down, because when the quarterback slides feet first, you can't hit him anyway.
I'm sure the play will stand for a 16-yard gain.
See, again, good blocking on Alfred Payton. He wasn't able to get off. Tom Europe came up and applied the hit, but when that quarterback slides feet first, he's off limits. And that's exactly what Nealon Green does in the open field, so I believe that he'll be ruled down right there.
He was. Nigel Williams to the near side. Eskimos looking to take the lead in this one. Green over the middle. Big hit in there as the catch is made by Ed Hervey.
Well, you notice where they're starting to throw the football, John, is right over the middle. Remember, we talked about the fact that Lamar McGriggs was spying Nealon Green. When Lamar McGriggs spies Nealon Green, it moves him closer to the line of scrimmage. And I mentioned that if Green can recognize that, he's going to start to look behind Lamar McGriggs and try and throw it right over the middle. See, McGriggs is up here pretty tight to the line, so this is the area where it'll open up, right where Lamar McGriggs would normally drop.
Second and 5. Green escapes. Bombers had another shot at it.
He's so strong.
And he runs so darn well.
He is just so strong and so tough to bring down.
But he only gains a yard there. So the Eskimos will settle for a chance to tie it here.
There are running backs in the league that are easier to tackle than Nealon Green. I mean, look at this. Nealon Green should have been down 3 times. Ron Warner had a crack at him, left his feet. Rio Wells finally got him to the sideline and pushed him out of bounds.
He's rushed for over 100 yards in 2 of his last 3 games, and he seemed to fire a couple of Bomber tacklers away.
Well, Garth, he just threw Garth aside.
51 yards he's rushed for tonight. A 33-yard field goal. Fleming looks for the tie. And we're all even at Winnipeg Stadium. 9-9. It's Adidas Friday Night Football. 1:14 to halftime. Bombers better wake up. First and 10. Bombers beginning at the 35. Kahari Jones. Put split between two receivers.
Oh, Stiegel had the matchup he wanted. It looked like Edmonton got caught in a little bit of blitz coverage. No safety in the middle. In fact, Chris Hardy was sliding down to cover one-on-one on Milt Stiegel. You see Stiegel come out of the backfield. He's got number 8, Chris Hardy, on him. Now, Chris Hardy's had a great year in safety, but he's not known for his coverage ability. And that's a matchup that Winnipeg would want to take advantage of if they could, and Kahari Jones didn't see it in time.
So it'll be 2nd and 10. Bombers. Kahari Jones has struggled so far tonight. Good on 4 of 13 only. 2nd and 10. Far side. This time he's got his man.
That's a timing throw to get it out there in time on Dwight Henry. You really can't cover it much better. Marcus Howell turns to the out. The ball's already in flight. It's a long throw across the entire field, and you have to throw it before the receiver breaks and just trust he's going to be there. And this comes from a receiver that hasn't seen a whole lot of playing time in Marcus Howell.
He draws into the lineup. With the injuries to a couple of key Bomber receivers, Eitan Kahari throwing on the run. Stiegel made the catch and held on. Great play by Milt Stiegel.
Took a big hit from Jerome Peterson, too. Edmonton sitting back in zone. Stiegel finds the hole, but watch the hit he takes at the end of the play. Nice little pop there to throw him down on the ground. Believe me, correct that. It was Shannon Garrett who made the hit, not Jerome Peterson.
Most impressive drive by the Bombers in quite some time. They're out to the Eskimo 50. 1st and 10 from there. 50 seconds to go. Flags are down. Catch is made. Robert Gordon. Gordon is rolled out by Torrey Hunter, and we better check the infraction on this.
Well, they're saying it's against Edmonton.
Offside. Edmonton's decline. First down.
Offside Edmonton. Winnipeg went with a different formation to try and open up Robert Gordon. They moved him from wide receiver, brought him into the slot back position. Torrey Hunter, see, look, there he is there. He's inside. He's not at his outside receiver position where he normally lines up. Runs a straight go route on Torrey Hunter.
35 yards for Robert Gordon on his first catch of the night. And that sets the Bombers up at the Eskimo 15.
He's inside again right here.
31 seconds to halftime. Kahari Jones looked to take it himself. I think he ran right over one of his players and tripped.
I think it was confusion between him and Corey Philpott as to where he should go. It looked to me like it was called quarterback draw, and it looked like Corey Philpott got in the way of it. See, Philpott, he thought it was a draw to him. Kahari thought it was going to be a quarterback draw, and they both ended up banging into each other.
As a result, no gain, 2nd and 10. 11 seconds till halftime. Kahari Jones in big-time trouble, lost the ball. Philpott found it. How about that? Touchdown, Winnipeg on a fumble.
You have got to be kidding me.
That's the fumble-rooski, I'll bet.
You have got to be kidding me.
Hang on, there's a flag.
There is a flag on the field.
This one needs work. This little routine.
Unbelievable.
You won't see one like this very frequently. It was really a horrible play.
Well, let's see what the call is. Was Kahari Jones down?
Objectionable conduct. Edmonton 93. Winnipeg has elected to apply the penalty to start the second half. We have a touchdown.
Well, maybe the football gods are looking fondly upon Dave Ritchie tonight.
Well, there's a long way to go, and this Bomber team has found a lot of ways to lose this year. This is for the lead, obviously, but there's a half of football to go. Interesting play on the final moment of the first half.
Fit, fumble, and fall down, but make it work. Kahari Jones has nowhere to go. Ball pops out. He actually spinned it out to him. He deliberately tried to throw it to Philpott. He picks up the ball, finds a hole, and scores a touchdown.
Oh, boy. Absolutely amazing. A 15-yard touchdown. On a play like this, Kahari should have been down. Philpott takes it, and he's into the end zone. Winnipeg on top.
Adidas Friday Night Football on TSN at the half.
Well, when you are a desperate team, you have to bring out everything in the playbook, including the 44 counter trap, belly, quarterback scramble, fumble, pick it up by the running back, drop the middle, touchdown. Whatever works. That was unbelievable.
Yeah, it was. You know, and talking to Dave Ritchie this week, those coaches stayed at the office every night past midnight, but I guarantee you they never conceived of drawing that one up. You know, it's a big, big drive, though, that last one for the Bombers in all seriousness. And one thing that jumped out to me in the first half is that Kahari Jones showed a willingness to take off, to run the ball again. He's been banged up recently and been a little tentative. When he runs the ball, just like Nealon Green, he can put a lot of pressure on defenses, Chris.
Eric, you know what? I really thought the Winnipeg Blue Bombers were losing it because I saw this long pass that was intercepted, and then I saw the Alfred Payton, the club behind the head on Nealon Green, and I honestly thought that that was it, that they were going to start to lose the game. We see it right here. This is an underthrown pass. He should be throwing it right in front of the receiver in stride. That's basically turnover number one. You could see it coming. And then this situation with Alfred Payton, this is basically a playoff game. You can't put your personal aggressiveness ahead of a playoff game situation. I thought that was it. That Philpott play means absolutely everything because going into the locker room, great feeling, great momentum. That's an important play, Matty.
Chris, I see Swack, Alfred Payton, number 56 there, in another series, stepping up and making a big play. He has a shot at Nealon Green, and then he misses him. He's nailed by offensive lineman to the turf. He gets back up, redirects, and sacks Nealon for a loss. They end up punting the football. So there, every positive, for every negative, there's a positive. Torrey Hunter on the interception return. Don Matthews said number 4, Torrey Hunter, who's replacing Ralph Staten for the Edmonton Eskimos at halfback position, has his hands full tonight. Be a great test for this young kid because he's up against some of the league's best in Robert Gordon and Milt Stegall. Torrey Hunter's got to prove to Don Matthews that he's ready for the playoffs and his knee is healthy. So far, he's doing that job.
And I keep thinking, every time I see a play like that, I keep thinking of those Argos watching the TV, and they're all screaming, yeah, sack, they got him. Oh, no. And Bombers, well, I don't know what the heck this is. Some sort of crazy train thingy.
It's a snail.
A snail?
A human snail.
Whatever works. Rest of your weekend, the Riders and Lions. We have that one, of course, Louis' last regular season home game. CBC has the Argos and Alouettes on Sunday afternoon. Could be huge, could mean nothing, depending, of course, on tonight. And then the Grey Cup finalists the last 2 years, Calgary and Hamilton. Calgary trying to stay healthy, Hamilton trying to get back on track. And so it comes down to this. Oh, yeah, the future Hall of Fame quarterback tied with his weaselly little host for the lead. We have the same picks until Sunday when Matt has Hamilton, Duffy has Calgary. It will come down to that. Tillman's picks, he can't win, looking for perhaps the bronze. And Schultze, in the ultimate act of desperation, just looked at my picks
beat you. That's
and
what
took the opposite,
That's a coward.
which is somewhere between courageous and just plain sad. Everything on the line this weekend. There will be extensive trash talking. Your numbers at the half and very much even in first downs. And yes, the Bombers 97 yards passing, Edmonton 97 yards rushing. Very even all the way down the board. In fact, just 2 yards separating the two teams. Of course, the two big plays, the difference, the opening kickoff, and then that last play, the fumble recovery and touchdown by Philpott. Greg Musselman spoke with a very fortunate Bombers coach, Dave Ritchie.
Okay, good. Dave, you got a couple of good bounces there in that first half.
Yeah, we did on a kickoff. First kickoff, and right there, Corey was alert to pick it up, and we didn't play with the clock very well there at the end. We had a problem if we hadn't scored a touchdown. But our defense is playing hard. Our offense hasn't moved the football like it ought to, and that's what we're going to go in and talk about. We need to get the offense going a little bit better and not let them have the ball as much as they got it.
So much at stake. Obviously, you're going to have these guys charged up, I'm sure, coming out in the third quarter.
Well, I hope so. Our third periods haven't been so wonderful, so we'll talk about it when we get in there.
Thanks, Dave.
All right.
Very fortunate, and the Bombers can't rely on bounces like those in the third quarter. And what may ultimately decide this one is how the Eskimos handle their staff. If the Bombers say score another touchdown, Matt, do the Eskimos say uncle and just sit all their regulars?
Well, there's a fine line on when to pull the horses off and when to let them go. But some people will have to play. Philip Girardi's got to play for Doug Peterson because he's just not healthy. He may be dressed, but he's not healthy, so he's got to go. Torrey Hunter's got to prove his knee is healthy and ready for the playoffs. But there are people like Nealon Green who fine line. Should we let this guy go out there and continue to play and get reps? I don't think so. Don Matthews told me that Nealon Green probably won't play the second half, Chris. Look for Dan Crowley to get some valuable playing time.
But I think that would be a great move because Dan Crowley thinks and wants to be a starting quarterback. And if I was him, I'd be on the sideline saying, let me have another audition late in the season, not only for what's happening right now within the game, going into the playoff game, but other teams watch these films, other teams know of his ability. I'm sure Dan Crowley wants to play in this game and wants to do good. I don't think it would be a bad move at all to put Dan Crowley in there. He could provide a different type of spark than Nealon Green.
I can't believe it. You guys both want to see Dan Crowley.
Yeah.
Hey, this first half has already been enough to make Pinball Clemens cuss. I mean, everything that could have gone the Bombers' way has. If you're Winnipeg and you're trying to win the game, I think it's really pretty simple. You have to avoid turnovers here in the second half and avoid foolish penalties. We saw Elfrid Payton take the forearm to Nealon's head. That cost him critical yardage. Don't make it easy for the Eskimos to come back and win this game.
Bombers have to play absolute desperation football. They got a couple of really, really lucky breaks in that first half, including, well, none luckier than this. This may be the play of the year for them. A fumble, could have been a turnover, turns into a touchdown for Corey Philpott, and that is the difference as we head towards the third quarter.
The virtual first down line is brought to you by Molson Canadian. I am Canadian.
The dawn of the Daves. More important to Dave Ritchie tonight. For obvious reasons, Bombers win, they're in the playoffs. Don Matthews is going nowhere except back to Commonwealth next weekend to host a semifinal game against the BC Lions.
Yeah, and if Dave Ritchie and the Bombers lose, it doesn't necessarily mean they're out. It just means they'll have to back in and hope that Toronto loses.
Second half at Winnipeg Stadium is underway on Adidas Friday Night Football. Troy Mills actually tripped as he crossed the 20-yard line. 18 on the return, 60-yard kickoff. Slow start for Kahari Jones, 7 of 16 for 97 yards. Nealon Green, 6 of 13 for 42.
Well, the 51 yards rushing has been where Nealon Green has hurt the Winnipeg defense when he's moved the football. Kahari Jones got something going at that last drive and almost lost time to put points on the board.
So Dan Crowley will quarterback the Eskimos for the second half. He was hoping to get into the game, as he told us beforehand, and he's in now. Running in his first play and running for close to a first down. Ball squirted loose, but the whistle had gone. They're saying the whistle had gone, and Rio Wells will not get a touchdown.
Tackled on the play by Marcus Washington. Was Dan Crowley down before this ball came out is the question. Not a bad play to run when you first come into the field, to just warm up, run to the outside, try and pick up the yardage. His knee was down, hit by Marcus Washington. It's tough to see. There was someone's head in the way.
Yeah, I think they got the right call.
It was very close, though, and they were right on top of it.
And it will be an Eskimo first down. Crowley hitting in 53% of his passes coming in.
Well, you remember that Kes McCorvey game I was talking about? Well, Dan Crowley was the starting quarterback that day.
Here's Mills. Troy Mills about 5.
Crowley on that game against Winnipeg. It was in week 3 of the season back in July. At the end of July, it was Crowley's third start. Nealon Green couldn't come out of the gate due to a hamstring injury, and Crowley in that game threw 5 touchdown passes, 4 to Kes McCorvey.
Yeah, and then he got hooked the next game, and Nealon Green was back at quarterback.
Well, yeah, that's what happens. Thanks for your contribution. Here's your seat on the bench.
But Green was number 1 and listed that way by the Eskimos. Nice completion to Terry Vaughn. First catch for Vaughn.
Well, that's an unbelievable throw, though, from Dan Crowley, because he not only had pressure, but he didn't have a lot of room to get that football in. He threw off his back foot and still managed to get something on the pass. Watch the pressure he's going to be under when he throws the football.
Ryan Clark right in his face, and you see the three Bombers all around Terry Vaughn there. Here comes the pressure. On the outside, has to throw it off his back foot, and just feathers it in there to Vaughn.
Ryan Clark couldn't quite get there. The gain is 23, first down Edmonton. Crowley with a little something to prove here. And on the money again, short of the first down.
Well, now the defense
made the catch. Sorry.
The defensive strategy for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers changes drastically because now Lamar McGriggs does not have to spy Dan Crowley. He's not going to run like Nealon Green did. He's going to be more of a drop-back passer. So they'll switch things up now to put the extra defensive back in. That's why we see Marcus Washington in the game. He comes in to provide some more coverage. Lamar McGriggs, who was in there to spy Nealon Green, is now on the sidelines with Les Brown, defensive coach.
This will be 2nd and 4 Edmonton. Crowley has a first down, or does he? No catch, they say. In and out of the hands of Terry Vaughn. Headed for the split second. Couldn't squeeze it completely.
There was a mistake by the Winnipeg secondary and linebacking core, and they're very fortunate that Edmonton didn't make them pay. Look at Marcus Washington right here and Wickman right there. They're both going to end up covering the same guy on the play. See, Washington slides over, and Rylan Wickman, see that now there's two covering one right there. That provides the opening backside. They're very fortunate that Edmonton didn't make them pay in a big way.
49-yard field goal try coming up for Sean Fleming. His longest this season, 52. Fleming, he's hurt, perfect so far, and he injured himself somehow. I didn't see what happened there.
Jerron Bolden's been providing some pressure off the edge throughout the game. Now Fleming's timing has been right. Bolden comes around the corner, and he just gets his leg whipped right into that kicking foot.
Fleming still down. He'll be 10-2, and we'll take a quick break on Adidas Friday Night Football.
Swipe your club card at Safeway for automatic.
Eskimo kicker Sean Fleming is up and off the field now. It looked a lot more serious moments ago.
Well, the good news is he's walking, but look at this. Look at that ankle get twisted underneath Jerron Bolden. See that ankle right there get twisted under Jerron Bolden. That's not a good sign. The ankle was completely twisted and touching the ground. He did walk off on his own power, but Ricky Walters or possibly Dan Crowley will do the backup kicking. Crowley may punt. Walters may do the field goals.
Well, Walters is going to do this kickoff.
So that's your backup.
Not bad.
And that looked like a badly twisted ankle.
And the return by Gordon is out across the 40 to about the 42. 17 on the return and 54 on the kickoff. Kahari Jones engineered a rather unorthodox touchdown drive to end the opening half.
Well, again, this is what we thought we should watch at the beginning of the game. The balancing act. Nealon Green already out of the game, and well, Sean Fleming will likely sit down. Playoff intensity. The Bombers have to keep it up and increase it in the second half to maintain that chance to win and control their destiny. They've already seen Sean Fleming go down, and neither team wants to see anybody else get hurt. The playoffs are around the corner.
Bombers begin at the 41. With Corey Philpott. He's had a nice night tonight so far, Glenn, including that 15-yard touchdown on the final play first half.
Well, he has, you know, and that was a little bit lucky, but you have to be lucky to be good and good to be lucky. And Philpott capitalized at the end of the half and rips off a pretty nice run here in the middle of that defense. Good cutback right there against the flow. Carter has to try and drag him down. Had they not scored a touchdown to end the half there, John, they would have run out of time and not get any points out of the drive.
Yeah, that's partly because anyway, the play did take a little while to develop with the fumble in there. Here's Philpott again. Over 50 yards on the evening with 5 more there. Dave Ritchie and Corey Philpott have been together through the years, one might say. They were together for a Grey Cup in 1994.
Well, George Jones was the starting tailback at the beginning of the season, and in fact in his first game had a 153-yard gain and looked pretty good, and then really tapered off in the next 3, and it gave Richie a chance to start Corey Philpott. Hasn't looked back.
Almost a great catch by Jamie Stoddard. Stoddard getting his first start out of the University of Alberta. Couldn't quite hang on there. Blames himself, it would seem.
Well, it was a catchable football. It was a tough catch because it was over the middle, and it's never easy to catch the ball over the middle because you know one thing. That's where the traffic usually is.
Shannon Garrett was covering. So quickly the Bombers are into a kicking situation, and Terry Vaughn drops deep for the Eskimos back near the 10. Winnipeg on top, 16-12. Low snap. Westwood digs it out. And here's Terry Vaughn. Thrown to the outside, at least for a moment. Grabbed from behind. 12 on the return, 42 on the punt. 1st and 10, Eskimos when we return. Sean Fleming on the Eskimo sidelines. Some concern about whether or not he'll get back tonight, Greg.
Well, just talked to Sean Fleming. He said his right ankle is starting to swell up, but he's quite confident he'll get back into the game. He's been doing some practicing into the net. He's had a great night, so hopefully for the Eskimos and for the rest of the season, he can get back up there. Back up to you, John.
Fleming 4 for 4 in field goals. This is Crowley at the controls for the Eskimos. And a great catch from behind. Grabbed by Nigel Williams.
Boy,
a little behind him.
The way that his ankle was twisted underneath Deron Bolden, it's amazing that he's going to be back in this football game working on the net. And of course, Don Matthews hopes that he can get back in because the way he's kicking tonight, he may need him down the stretch in a close game. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers just want to survive this quarter.
Yeah, this is a tough quarter for Winnipeg on the season. 3rd quarter has been disastrous. Crowley goes deep. And he got him. Nope.
Saying he never had control.
Ed Hervey trying to make his case, but they say he never quite had control. Crowley put it pretty close to being right on the money.
Well, it was a perfect throw, John, up and to the outside, and it gave Ed Hervey lots of time to run under it. Now, Brandon Hamilton got his hand in there a little bit early, and because of that, never allowed Ed Hervey to get control of the football. Well, although they may have an argument over there, it was very, very close. Good protection again. Alfred Payton's having a tough night on Chris Morris. He gets thrown to the outside. That time it was Bruce Beaton he's working on, but both tackles have done a very good job on Alfred Payton.
2nd and 10 for the Eskimos. Crowley shotgun. Here's the heat. He got it away. Terry Vaughn, 1st down. Bolden made the tackle on Terry Vaughn. Well, maybe I was a little premature there.
Well, watch
calculation.
But watch the protection that the quarterbacks for Edmonton are getting. Look at Beaton working on Alfred Payton, just denying him any lane. Vaughn going to run a little in pattern. You see how Deron Bolden didn't bite on that little out stem, that little out move to get him to the outside? He stayed on the inside and came up with the big hit, but it was a 1st down.
I was questioned up here as to whether or not I was correct.
I can't believe that. I cannot believe that. You were bang on. 1st down.
And Hervey to the near side. 1st and 10 Edmonton out at the 48 now. Crowley has been very effective filling in for Nealon Green. Troy Mills.
Well, these are important reps for Dan Crowley. I mean, as important as they were for Nealon Green. Obviously, Don Matthews wants Green to stay sharp heading into the playoffs, but he'd like to see Dan Crowley also get some reps, because then he goes into the playoffs with maybe a 1-2 punch, a drop back passer and a runner.
Well, and also, not to say that Nealon Green is fragile, but he has had his share of injuries, and if you've got Crowley ready, you're feeling a little bit better should something happen. Nicely played by Bolden. Very close to a first down pass.
Well, Brian Clark makes it at the beginning of the play. He's the guy who forces the early throw, and Jerron Bolden just wishes he had that one back, because Brian Clark is the guy who's going to get pressure right on Dan Crowley, and immediately, look at this, he's right in his face. He has to throw it in a jump, lands on his lap, and then Jerron Bolden just flat out drops it. Nice little stunt there by Brian Clark. He times it perfectly. Bolden just drops the football.
Well, these kickers are tougher these days, aren't they? Sean Fleming back in to punt. Robert Gordon is deep for the Bombers, back near his 12.
Well, that hurt him.
To the 22, to the 30, and surrounded by white shirts. An 8-yard return, a 35-yard punt for Fleming. Kahari Jones at the controls for the Bombers when we return. 25 years ago, about 25 head coaches ago, Louis Passaglia joined the Canadian Football League. In '95, he was most valuable Canadian as he kicked the game-winning field goal, and the Lions won the Grey Cup. Tomorrow night in BC Place, it's Love Ya Louie nights. We'll be there, Glenn.
Grew up very close to Empire Stadium in Vancouver and has lived out his childhood dream.
And then a little bit more, I guess. Kahari Jones is Stiegel wide open. Stiegel with a great run after the catch. And Kahari put it right on the money for 38 yards.
Milt Stiegel continues to use motion to help himself down the field. See him hide again behind the offensive line, then sneak out and get inside position with that little move on Torrey Hunter.
Look at the acceleration.
Well, you see, Grant Carter broke underneath, came out of his drop on Stoddard, and that opened up Stiegel in behind him.
1st and 10. Bombers at the Eskimo 41. Kahari looking long. Philpott makes the catch.
Well, this time, Milt Stiegel was the decoy. He was the decoy. Corey Philpott was the primary. Philpott's going to go like this, but Stiegel on the other side's doing the same thing. It's called mirror patterns. Stiegel's the decoy. See how Kahari rolls to Stiegel's side and says, no, guess what? I'm not going back there. I'm going to the other matchup. Corey Philpott on A.J. Gass. There's Stiegel. This is the front side of the play. See the safety. Chris Hardy went over there first to help out. And he left his linebacker in a one-on-one on the backside.
Couple of big plays. Stiegel for 38. Philpott for 30. First down. Winnipeg end zone toss. And he missed that time.
Stiegel was there.
Was looking for an interference call. Stiegel was hit behind.
Well, Gordon was the under pattern. Stiegel had slipped in. If Kahari Jones hangs onto that football for another split second, he has a wide open Milt Stiegel. Now, I don't think there was any interference in there. I don't know what Robert Gordon's worried about, but in behind him was a wide open Stiegel.
A wide open Stiegel.
A wide open Stiegel, waving frantically for the football because Chris Hardy had slipped and fallen down.
2nd and 10. Blue Bombers trying to make the playoffs for the first time in 4 years. A win tonight would do it. And no catch.
Rocky Henry
was Henry.
He couldn't see it. He couldn't see it because Jerome Peterson cut underneath and really just blocked his vision. It was questionable as to whether or not Peterson would get the screening call out there because he put his hands up and really blocked the vision of Rocky Henry, and he just couldn't see it. It almost bounced off his face mask.
Troy Westwood is in. Perfect so far. His first from 34. Hit the post. No good. Run one off the goalpost. Troy Westwood.
You know what's going through his mind right now.
A little cha-ching down there.
You know what's going through his mind right now. Not another one of these nights. And he's had a few this year. And that's not easy.
I wonder if that might be it. Be sure to stay tuned at the conclusion of the game, and we'll show you the TSN Turning Point, brought to you by Mr. Lube. Troy Mills for a couple of yards. The Bombers lead this one 16-12. Troy Westwood just missed a field goal.
Well, when you think about the year that Troy Westwood has had, there's a little gremlin right now on his shoulder, and the gremlin's name is Doubt. And he's whispering in his ear, is it going to be another one of those nights? Now, Troy Westwood is a veteran. Can he block that out? Because the way this game is going at 16-12, they may need him to win it.
Looking back to week 2, Westwood missed one against Calgary that cost the Bombers a chance at victory. And in week 3 against Edmonton, he missed one that cost them a victory.
He's got to just brush that gremlin off his shoulder. Just get off of there.
Late field goals.
See him shaking his head?
Yeah. And the other point of the whole story is the Bombers have had a little tough luck this season along the way.
Yeah, no question.
But had Westwood made either one of those 2 field goals, this game wouldn't have the pressure that it does have on the Bombers here tonight. A playoff spot would have been locked up. Kickers, eh, Glenn?
You gotta love them.
Quarterbacks, give them a chance, and they love to show what they can do. Dan Crowley is in with Nealon Green resting on the sidelines, and he's had a pretty good start to this half. Good for 11 yards there.
He's going to mix things up now, John. And well, I thought he was going to go and start calling the plays on the line of scrimmage, but he is huddling them up again. He's going to get some help from Nealon Green, who's got the headset on the sideline, but doing a pretty nice job so far is Dan Crowley.
Yeah, 5 of 8 for 63 yards, but he's made a couple of real nice plays, including that 11-yard toss to Hervey.
And he had the close one down the sideline to Ed Hervey, almost caught for a big game.
1st and 10, Eskimos nearing the 40-yard line.
Timeout, Edmonton, bud.
So, I guess Crowley saw something he didn't understand. 2:20 to go in this quarter, and he'll talk it over with the coach. 6 of 13, 42 yards for Nealon Green.
Nothing to really write home about, but he did run the ball effectively, and that's his thing, so to speak.
Yes. And we just talked about Crowley at 5 of 8.
Not really putting up huge numbers, but they're hanging around in the football game, and that's what's important on the scoreboard. 16-12.
Yeah, 4-pointer right now. The Bombers have to be feeling a little more heat. 2:20 to go, 3rd quarter. Nice play action fake, and a little bit too high for Kez McCorvey. Although catchable in a lot of situations, I'd suggest.
No question, catchable. Very good play action fake. In fact, it had the Winnipeg defense screaming that it was a draw play. That's how good the fake was by Dan Crowley. Bought himself a ton of time, and it was just a drop pass in the open field by Kez McCorvey. But that defense were yelling, draw!
Turf.
You know, because he really stepped forward to throw that football. It's a long throw. He might have got away from him a little bit when he was gripping the ball, but he took a long stride. And normally when quarterbacks do that, Matt Dunnigan will tell you back in the panel that the ball goes right down into the turf.
Two minutes to go, 3rd quarter. Bombers get the ball back here on 3rd down Edmonton. And Fleming back in there.
Well, the last punt from Sean Fleming hurt him. Saw him limping afterwards.
Blocked. Bombers have it. Harold Nash. Touchdown, Winnipeg.
He's the guy who injured Sean Fleming on the field goal attempt. He's the guy who blocks the kick. I'm talking about Jerron Bolden. Harold Nash gets... Here's Bolden hiding in behind. He's going to loop around and then hit it right down at the middle of the field. It's A-gap is what they call it. He sneaks through it, and Bolden gets up, blocks it, really almost could have tackled Sean Fleming before he kicked the ball, and then Harold Nash scoops it up.
Had a pretty good escort into the end zone. No Eskimo was going to break through that wall. Harold Nash gets the touchdown, and Winnipeg extends its lead. Convert is good.
You think there were a couple of blippers headed towards the television set in the Toronto area right now?
Well, they're rediscussing this convert down here at this point, so maybe it's not all quite as bad for those Argos sitting there at home.
Well, Corey Philpott came on the field
Illegal
real
substitution.
late. Yeah.
Winnipeg number 9 will kick the convert again.
Yeah, Philpott came on real late. He forgot that after a touchdown, he's on the field goal team, the extra point team, because it was a touchdown scored not by the offense. How would you like to be Sean Fleming in this one? Here comes number 21. Look at that.
No shot.
Fast
No
break
chance.
from the Bombers. Harold Nash got the nice bounce, and away he goes.
Couple of hops right to 0-0. And it's a 23-yard touchdown.
What an important player Jerron Bolden has been for the Winnipeg organization. This team has blocked 7 kicks this year. Jerron Bolden has been asked to cover the most potent receivers on the opposing team all year long.
CFL record for blocked kicks is 8. The new Bomber team record is 7. Harold Nash as the touchdown is 23-12 on Anita's Friday Night Football. Bomber coach Dave Ritchie knows exactly what's on the line. He knows the playoffs actually begin tonight.
I think it's very important for us. You know, I don't usually dwell on those type of things, but since I've come here, you're hooked into the 4 years plus the years before that and so on. Things happen, but I think it's very important for us as a franchise, for our fans, and that's why we're kind of thinking tonight's our first playoff game.
Important is an understatement. Mills run out of bounds near the 30-yard line. The Bombers really need a spot in the playoffs tonight. This is an enormous game for the franchise overall.
And I loved what Dave Ritchie said about the fans and how this is such an important game for the fans. And this is a play that got the fans pretty fired up. Jerron Bolden up the middle on the blocked punt.
It's been a good season for football in Winnipeg Stadium. Most believe that only one game here all season long, and we'll have to include this one into that now, has not been an exciting and close contest. Crowley at the controls.
Ricky Walters over the middle, almost had a chance at it on the second turn.
26,537 fans here. The Bombers have really done an outstanding job in turning everything around in this franchise this season. The ticket drive worked well. They've got a new stadium lease agreement that we talked about earlier, and the franchise is heading in the right direction if the Bombers can make the playoffs. It will be a huge boost to what Winnipeg can do next year.
A lot of credit has to go to Lyle Bauer.
Absolutely. He's done a great job as the general manager in his first year. Crowley has McCorvey, and McCorvey is wrapped up by Hamilton.
Well, the Edmonton Eskimos are not going to lie down, and that's what you wonder in a game that doesn't really mean anything to them in the standings, and they're down in the football game on a cold night. Do they just sort of file it in the rest of the way and then try and get in the locker room? But they're not laying down right now.
No, and here's the intangible, too. You've got the backup quarterback in there, Dan Crowley, with a lot to prove.
No question. He wants to show that he can play in a playoff game should Don Matthews want to go to him.
So that is something that
Well, it was funny.
The Bombers have to be thinking about just saying, hey, the backup's in, and he's not ready to take it easy tonight and get ready for the playoffs. He wants to show something, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it was funny before the game, and Don Matthews, I kind of joked with him. I said, so which quarterback are you going with for the most amount of time? And he said, I'm not going to tell you. I can't leak that information out to you. And he was being pretty quiet about it, but I went over and talked to Crowley right afterwards, and he was beaming, like he was bouncing around in the field. I said, oh, you're playing tonight. And he goes, well, I can't tell you either, but yeah.
Crowley close to a first down on the strike to Terry Vaughn, and that's the final play of the third quarter. The Bombers have a 23-12 lead. They're 15 minutes away from the playoffs. Still a few thoughts for Westwood, however.
Adidas Friday Night Football on TSN at the quarter.
Well, you have to figure in a game that means everything to one team and not so much to the other that there definitely should be a difference in intensity levels in the second half. And on special teams, you sometimes see that. And did we see perhaps a let-up by the Eskimos and a chance for the Bombers just to go in there and nail it?
Well, I don't know if it was a let-up, but it was a critical play in the game. Basically, you just had a total jailbreak on that blocked field goal. Bolden blocked the kick, but Wells and Hawking both got free. And it's just completely changed the game, which is very, very unusual for a Don Matthews coach team. Generally, they make plays on special teams. Edmonton certainly, Matt, has not done anything to help themselves tonight from the opening kickoff.
That's right, Eric. It's difficult to win in Winnipeg in November, and then you make it more difficult on yourself. Opening kickoff mishandled, put Winnipeg in for 7 points. Then you had the fake field goal TD called back. That's another 7 points. And then you have the block punt. That's 21 points you spotted Winnipeg on the road in November. It's not going to happen for your football team. But if you're an Argonaut fan, how much are you cheering for Terry Vaughn and Dan Crowley right now? You're just like in the corner, baby. It's tight enough where anything can happen in the fourth quarter.
You know what? The game's not over. And if I was a defensive coach, if I was a leader, if I was a veteran on this Winnipeg football team, I'd grab my fellow player by the face mask and say, this is it. Our whole season is coming down to playing our best football this quarter with the highest energy, the highest enthusiasm possible. This game is not over. Winnipeg has to go into this with an aggressive mindset. They still have to play well to win.
I suppose one other possible thing to look at for both Argos fans and Eskimo fans is the fourth quarter has been the Bombers' worst quarter all season long. They had a couple of late collapses that cost them. Need this one desperately. They're 15 minutes away from a postseason berth, first one in 4 years.
Well, the Bombers are back in the lead. Have they taken control of this game or not?
Well, it'll depend in the next series or two. They've got a situation right now where they're backed up on defense. They've got to make the stop here, and they get one more drive. They've got control of it, no question.
Dave Ritchie has not seen his team do things the easy way this year, has he?
Well, not at all, but the thing that he's most proud of with this football team has been their desire and their effort from the beginning of the season to the end. And when you look at the division in the East, this is a Winnipeg team that beat both Hamilton and Montreal this year.
And it's also a Winnipeg team that lost close games to the Eskimos and the Calgary Stampeders. Edmonton gunning for a first down, and it would appear the Eskimos have it. After 3 quarters, some interesting numbers to throw up. Time of possession for the Eskimos, 27:04, 22:56 for the Blue Bombers.
Well, when you look at the numbers, it's hard to tell which team is up, but Winnipeg has made the big plays on the special teams. When you think of the fumble by Troy Mills to start the football game and then the block punt by Jerron Bolden, that's a 14-point swing right there.
And then there was the interesting touchdown by Corey Philpott on the final play of the opening half. Crowley at quarterback for the Eskimos, looks deep, has a man, and just missed. Nigel Williams, or check that.
Kes McCorvey, yeah, he went down the sideline, and the O-line for the Edmonton Eskimos had done such a nice job of blocking up an all-out blitz by Winnipeg. Kes McCorvey was open early, and he just didn't get the football when he was open. It's all timing. See, he runs that out and up. There, he's open now, open now. The ball isn't there until late, and then Rio Wells can recover. It was just poor timing by Crowley, because if he got rid of that football earlier, he had an open man.
Big play for the Bomber defense here. 2nd and 10 Edmonton. 3 receivers near side for Crowley. Looks deep, has a man, him. And Herbie.
Well, you know, we talked about a little bit of luck going Winnipeg's way this way, and obviously the play to Corey Philpott was one, but that's another right there. Ed Herbie is down the seam and open because Tom Europe gets caught a little bit shallow. You see how Europe is underneath? He gets caught a little shallow, and Harold Nash is actually beaten on the play, and again, the ball just a yard too far.
Eskimos are gunning for this one on 3rd and 10. And the Bombers urging their fans to come to life. So Crowley doesn't have a hope of hearing or getting the signal through to his players. Got it away. Intercepted. Right on the line. Brandon Hamilton actually sat back and waited for that for a split second or two. Huge play for the Bomber defense. Interception. Brandon Hamilton, his 2nd of the season.
The virtual first down line is brought to you by Molson Canadian. I am Canadian.
Well, it's maybe a little bit amazing to say, but watch Nigel Williams come in and Brandon Hamilton just drop off. This may be amazing to say, but you can make 2 mistakes and still make an interception. The first mistake was it looked like Brandon Hamilton dropped his man. The second mistake is he caught it when he should have knocked it down.
Because it was 3rd down, he's lost 31 yards in field position. But he's got his 2nd interception of the season.
And it was a big play to get the fans excited because they were on their feet cheering. And Brandon Hamilton dropped back and really should have just knocked that football down. He would have saved 31 yards of field position on the third down gamble. And he's telling his teammates right now, I wasn't really thinking of that. It was sitting there, and I kind of caught it. And
you spend all season back there looking at footballs flying over your head. When one lands in your hands, it's pretty tough to just bat it to the ground. On second thought, he likely should have done it. Kahari Jones, far side, we got a first down. Robert Gordon.
This is why they're so excited about Kahari Jones. If you can throw that wide field out pattern like he can throw it, it really opens things up for you because that's a long throw for Kahari Jones to make. And defenses are designed, if you're on the wide field, like Robert Gordon was lined up out there, you want to line up way inside, take away the inside of the field. And Dwight Henry did that. Now, if you have a quarterback that can throw basically 45 to 50-yard passes to the outside like that, it really opens things up for you.
14-yard gain, first down, Kahari Jones. Got a man far side again, one-handed stab at it, not quite.
Well, it doesn't matter because it was pretty.
Yeah, it was.
It's pretty to watch. You wanted to show exactly what he did.
And stay in.
Well, that was pretty to watch because he makes the catch down the sideline with the one hand. It's the right hand up there, but doesn't have control. It was very, very close. I mean, I'm talking about very close when he did get both hands on it. Kahari Jones gets rid of the football and goes down hard, and no question Kahari Jones is going start to finish in this game. They cannot take a chance and lose this one.
And just for the fun of it, the pose at the end saying this is
exactly what I did.
Should have done it. By Robert Gordon. 2nd and 10 Bombers. Trying to lock up a playoff spot. There you go, Philpott. No. A.J. Gass got back a long way.
Remember earlier in the 3rd quarter, Corey Philpott ran that exact same pattern on the exact same player. Offenses will always go back to a successful play later in the game, but this time A.J. Gass has seen the movie and he wanted to change the sequel. That's a different ending because the last time in the original, Corey Philpott came up with the catch.
Troy Westwood on 3rd down, Winnipeg. Vaughn is back for Edmonton near his 45. I think the Eskimos are coming here. Low snap. Westwood got it away. Pretty good kick. Here's Vaughn. Tried the spinorama. Well read by the Blue Bomber tacklers. Winnipeg into the fourth quarter, still trying to lock up a playoff spot.
Speaking of sequels,
That's Hockey 2.
there it is.
This is dancing, but That's Hockey 2 Tuesday, 11:30. Darren Detition, Pierre Maguire. We're proud of this one. Lots more hockey highlights every night.
Yeah, that'll be great. That's Hockey 1 with Gordon Miller, and then we have That's Hockey 2.
First down, Edmonton. This is Crowley. And he'll have a first down to Terry Vaughn. Bolden dropped him and fired him down, and there's an injured Bomber on the field.
Drawn Bolden threw him down aggressively. A pretty good move to get inside position on a good cover guy. Drawn Bolden, one of the best in the league in man-to-man. Obviously, he made the big play to block the punt.
He's okay.
1995, Jaron Bolden was recruited by the Winnipeg organization. They went down and did a little scouting trip in Mississippi Delta Community College. And out of that scouting trip, picked up 3 players. Jaron Bolden, player that's currently with the Edmonton Eskimos, in Shannon Garrett, who's playing defensive back and came up and played for the Bombers at that time. And K.D. Williams also came from that same recruiting trip to Mississippi Delta Community College. And Jaron Bolden, 5 years later, is contributing to this football team in a big way.
He really makes big plays in that Bombers secondary. Ryland Wickman was the injured Blue Bomber.
Looks like he'll be okay.
Bet on him being back. First and 10 Eskimos. Shotgun for Crowley. Long ball. Europe goes over. Can't come up with the interception.
He wanted a pass interference call.
Hervey was the target.
Well, I'm not so sure that he shouldn't get it. Tom Europe closes in a hurry to this football. Look at where he lines up, but watch how much ground he covers to get over there and get involved after the ball's in the air. That's a long throw, and he has best chance of catching it, and Ed Hervey kind of knocks him down before he gets there. That to me, is pass interference offensively. He's having his best season, Tom Europe in the middle.
Second and 10. Intercepted. Here's Jerome. Taking it to the house, Jerome Bolden. Quarterback goes over to try and make the tackle, and he forced him out at about the 11. That might salt it away. 59 yards on the return by Jaron Bolden.
I would say the 1995 scouting trip was a success. Played 42 games in the National Football League after his start here in Winnipeg in '95. And does he ever make them better? Not only in the secondary, but on special teams. He has the block kick in this football game, and now he maybe have the second biggest play in this franchise's history in a long time. That interception right there.
Fourth turnover given up by the Eskimos. And a fine run by Jaron Bolden. The touchdown toss is there. Rocky Henry contributes in his first game as a Blue Bomber.
They better hurry up and set up that dance, or they're going to get a penalty. That is an ugly dance.
Yeah. I guess we're going to have to start giving them marks for that.
Well, on a scale of 1 to 10 on that dance, I give it maybe a 2.
Needs work.
Just
however, the plays don't that led to the touchdown.
A 2 because the play was such a pretty throw by Kahari Jones. Up and over the shoulder. Rocky Henry pulls it in. And the ugly dance ensued. Well, he's new to the dance, and that's not really fair because, you know, he's not one that practices the dance routine as often as, you know, Albert Johnson did or G-Roy Simon. So
yeah, he's filling in, right?
He's got to go to Fred Astaire's school and get some tapes or something, work on the rhythm. Backup dancer.
Bolden made a huge play. A 59-yard interception return for number 21.
Well,
it's worth another peek.
Let's take one more look at the biggest play in a long time for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. A chance to make the playoffs, first time since 1996, and to do that, you have to get some big plays from your football team. Jerron Bolden has made a couple of them here tonight. One on a block kick, and one on that interception. Terry Vaughn has been running that inside pattern all game long, and this time the ball is thrown slightly behind him. Bolden uses that great reach to go up there and pull it down. If he gets one block, he scores. Because the quarterback, Dan Crowley, is the only guy that can get out there and get him.
And then for 6 more, Kahari Jones to Rocky Henry.
Little fade pattern to the outside, and this crowd can feel it.
Well, I do like the Bombers' chances now at 30-12 with 9:16 to go. However, strange things have happened to the boys in blue and gold several times this season.
Hey, what's up, baby? I see you drumming, Jack. What's up, boy? I'm gonna do it again, baby.
Troy Mills. Nice return. Out to the 41-yard line before he's dragged down from behind by Washington. Okay, game story as it stands right now. A couple of touchdowns for Philpott, the nicest one at the end of the first half.
Fleming 4 field goals. He also had one blocked for a touchdown and has a bad ankle.
Yeah, and then you've got 3 touchdowns off Eskimo turnovers for 20 points for the Bombers. And the bottom line, win and you're in.
Win and you're in.
Eskimos on first down. Crowley missed his target. Looking for Vaughn.
Well, now you wonder what's going on in the heads of the Edmonton Eskimos. I mean, now they start to focus on a week from now, and they just can't wait for this 8:51 to run out so they can start game planning for the BC Lions.
Eskimos and the BC Lions. Looks like the Bombers and the Hamilton Tiger Cats in the 2 semis next Sunday. McCorvey made the catch and had a couple of interesting moves to get near a first down. He's about a yard shy.
And likely Dan Crowley will just stay in there and go ahead and go for it. Really nothing to lose, and the game to gain by gambling. So Nealon Green healthy on the sideline, played the first half only. Well, I say healthy, he's a little banged up, but not from this game.
No. It's the gash on his non-throwing hand, and that should be enough for a first down. Sean Daniels gets a rare carry.
Ryland Wickman was in there again, helping on the tackle, and I think they're going to measure it because it's very close. Another player really stepped it up in the most important game for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in a long time. Ryland Wickman on defense. Like they just got the first down.
I didn't think there was much doubt.
Well, Wickman did. He had an argument. He jumped up pretty excited there on that stop. Remember, he was banged up. He's right back in the football game. And it's playoff time, so you're going to play her. It's playoff time for Winnipeg, that is. Tonight was their first playoff game.
A win. The Bombers hang on to a 30-12 advantage, and they're in the playoffs. And this crowd is really having a great time here tonight. Almost 27,000 on hand. And it's been a revival season for the Blue Bombers under new general manager Lyle Bauer.
Attendance way up in Winnipeg. Kids are back. They're having fun. They've had a very competitive football team all year long that has left it on the field every single game, and that's really all the fans want to see. They want to see a competitive team, and Winnipeg has been that this year.
Previous 3 years, you couldn't really say that. Crowley for Edmonton, as Terry Vaughn, and Vaughn ran right over Brandon Hamilton.
'96, the last time the Bombers made it to the postseason. Ken Austin was their starting quarterback that year, I believe.
1,454 days ago, Bombers played in their last playoff game, but who's counting in Winnipeg? I mean,
yeah, they're pretty hungry. They are pretty hungry.
Eskimos get a first down out of that, trailing 30-12, 7 minutes left. Crowley slipped and then fired for Williams.
Nigel Williams stopped running. Crowley had to kind of reload and gather himself after slipping. Alfred Payton was providing some pressure at the bottom of your screen. See him slip, he has to kind of get his balance back. That gives Payton a chance to get home, but had Nigel Williams come out of his break full speed, he might have run under that football, but he turned the corner, stopped running, and then the ball was in the air as they sort of glanced towards the clock.
And time is evaporating on the Eskimos. Flags everywhere. Early movement down there without question.
Illegal procedure. Edmonton 56. It'll be second down repeated.
Well, you sort of got the feeling from the way this game started that it was going to be Dave Ritchie's night. And, you know, sometimes they say that these things sort of, what goes around comes around, and he lost some close ones early. And when you saw the opening kickoff drop by Troy Mills, and the way the things have sort of transpired here tonight, got the feeling it was his night.
Sean Daniels. Still short of the first down on 2nd and 15. Dave Ritchie had never missed the playoffs in his head coaching career until 1999.
Certainly didn't like it, but I just, you know, you think back to the way this game started, and the team that was obviously more nervous was Winnipeg, and it was Edmonton that makes the first mistake of the ball game, Troy Mills. That got him started, and from then on you got the feeling that it was going to be Dave Ritchie's night. That resulted in that Corey Philpott touchdown.
Third down. And the ball squirted loose.
There's 24 officials on the field right now, but only about 4 that matter. It's the ones in the striped shirts.
They call it a catch, and this drive will continue for the Eskimos. Harold Nash hates it.
Kes McCormick one-on-one on Harold Nash. We have it for you. There it is. The pattern inside. Don't know that he had control when he went down. That's why the Boo Birds wrote.
So there's really 26,000 officials here tonight. All the fans in the stands hated that call. Close though. Crowley with time on first down, and he'll get another first down as Williams made the catch.
Well, they're not giving up. And now late flag on the play right in the middle where Benny Goods and you know, and this may be some yardage tacked on at the end of the play, and it's interesting to see the Edmonton Eskimos still battling. And,
major foul, unnecessary roughness. Winnipeg number 40, first down.
That's Benny Goods. He was right in the middle of that. But, you know, this is an Edmonton Eskimo team heading into the playoff game next week versus the BC Lions. Number one, banged up. Okay, they still have a bunch of injury problems. They lost Steve Anderson in practice this week. There'll be some question marks as to who Don Matthews will have available. But they're also coming off a loss to Saskatchewan. This would be loss number 2 in a row. You never want to go into the playoffs losing a couple of games like that.
30-12. Winnipeg has the lead with 4:25 to go. Nice fake by Crowley. Can he get away to get it? No. Tracked down from behind by Ron Warner.
See, Ron Warner was running him to the opposite side, and he couldn't get the gun around to deliver the ball because Ron Warner was breathing down his neck. There's a play-action pass. Look at Warner, 98. You see, he's breathing down his neck the whole time. He can't get his body around because Warner's there.
4th sack for the Bombers tonight. Crowley under the cover. Can he turn the corner and get there? The ball came loose.
Saying he's down.
He's saying he's down at the 1 yard line zone.
All game long, Terry Vaughn's been running that in pattern to Jerron Bolden. Right? In pattern, in pattern, in pattern. This time, kind of gave you a little fake to the end, and he ran out. That's why there's so much distance between him and Jerron Bolden. He tried to reach to the goal line, and that's when he lost the football. See, he's been in. Now look at that. Little quick out. A lot of times the receivers will be trying to set up the defensive back throughout the game. They're going to gamble again.
3rd down. Goal to go. Bomber 1. John Daniels has the touchdown. And the Eskimos get a little closer with 2:53 to go. Still a long way back for Don Matthews.
He's going to leave the offense on the field and go for 2. If he gets it, it's a 10-point football game with plenty of time left. You know, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Don Matthews try an onside kick as well. You know, when you get to this level, you don't get to this level not being competitive as an individual. And every time you cross the stripe, you go in to win the football game. It doesn't matter if it means nothing in the standings.
Crowley going for 2. Markers everywhere in the end zone. Crowley is decked.
Well, they may get another shot at it. Depends on what the penalty is.
Pass interference. Edmonton 81. Edmonton 81. There is no convert, and time is out.
So there you go. Edmonton's going the other way. We've got it all straightened out here. No chance for the 2. So the Bombers lead 30-18. Back at Winnipeg Stadium, the Eskimos scored, but it took a little too much time, one might think. 6:23.
Yeah, usually offensively you want that time of possession to be in your favor, except unless you're down by 18, which they were. You'd rather score quickly, or they did come up with a touchdown. Will it be enough?
Yeah, well, now they're down by 12 after the penalty on the 2-point conversion try. Eskimos will kick it off from the 35.
Well, the Bombers right now are playing it like an onside kick. They have their onside kick hands team on. And the hands team are all the receivers right up near the line of scrimmage there.
Marcus Howell, and the Winnipeg native is out and down at the 40-yard line. Here's Greg.
Okay, I'm with the general manager of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, Lyle Bauer, in your first year. It's been a roller coaster season, but you said this week could be a three-week get the deal with Winnipeg Enterprise. You signed Kahari Jones, and just a few minutes away from getting into the playoffs.
Well, I don't think Edmonton's going to make it any easier on us on the way through, but I'll tell you what, there's a lot of people sitting in these stands that need to get back to those playoffs, and we're very, very pleased with the year we've had on the field and off the field.
Huge signing, Kahari Jones, though.
Very much so, and I think it bodes well for the league, speaks volumes that we are going to be able to compete as a league for whichever league comes forward, XFL, anybody else. So,
congratulations on a good season so far.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Let's go back to John Wells.
And more to cheer about for Blue Bomber fans as Corey Philpott breaks another big one for 21 yards.
Well, John, they say good things come in threes.
And I'd say we're almost at 3, aren't we, for the Bombers this week?
New lease agreement, number 1. Sign your starting quarterback to an extended contract, number 2. A win was the third one they were looking for.
Yeah, and Lyle Bauer alluded to the fact that this league has found some bright young quarterbacks. We've watched Henry Burris and enjoyed him in Saskatchewan. Nealon Green over the past 2 years. And Kahari Jones looks like the real deal in Winnipeg. He started slowly tonight, but he really put it together for a couple of drives.
Well, Anthony Calvillo. Dave Dickinson is still a young quarterback when you consider his playing time.
I was putting those two guys in the
upper,
little higher echelon, you know, when you're looking around for.
But it is a good crop of quarterbacks that are going to have a lot of playing years ahead of them.
Well, I wasn't calling Dave an old timer.
I just wanted to make sure.
To see him on Sunday in Hamilton.
Just wanted to make sure.
Go! Whoa! Nifty little play. Quarterback drop. Enough to move the sticks. 1:57 to go. And the Bombers are that close to the playoffs for the first time.
Well, and consider this too, John. I mean, they go into game 1 of the playoffs. The Hamilton Tiger Cats have struggled of late. Even they would tell you that. Now, this is a very potent team when they get going. And you think about Albert Johnson possibly coming back to the lineup. G. Simon possibly getting back. Milt Stegall, Robert Gordon.
Yeah, the quick track. It's a pretty exciting football team. And Philpott is giving the Bombers a little bit of a running game, something that they really haven't used a whole bunch this season, but Philpott's got a couple of touchdowns.
Well, remember I said coming into the game that Philpott's very important to the success of this football team. And this was just before the end of the first half. They got a little bit lucky, but Philpott took advantage of his opportunity, punched it in.
Still don't know if that was exactly a fumble or a pitch. There's the first down as Philpott keeps driving. He's had a very nice night.
Well, he has, and you know, mentioned in their 6 wins this year, he's averaged close to 100 yards in their 10 losses. That average dropped to around 43 yards, and right now Corey Philpott is over 100 yards at
138 all totaled up. 91 rushing, 2 receptions for 48.
Yeah, over 100 yards of offense.
39. There you go.
Yeah. But he's right at his average for rushing the football at 91 yards. Well, he got a little more there too, so we'll add that. But he's at his average when they win, which is close to 100.
Yeah, so for Adidas, 144 yards now total offense, 2 touchdowns. The game ball to Corey Philpott tonight.
Standing ovation from the crowd here in Winnipeg. They're back in the playoffs.
First time in 4 long years. A little round of applause for Alicia Suter today. She's 10, right? Happy birthday, sweetheart.
All right. Thank you.
Double digits. She's 10.
She's 10 years old today. Well, so we set up the matchups in the playoffs. In the East semifinal, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers will travel to Hamilton, take on the Ticats in the West, BC and Edmonton.
You know, could be some upsets in the making when you look at those 2 matchups.
Well, you know, you can't rule out BC maybe playing their best football down the stretch here. Hamilton struggled. And again, this is a very explosive offense when they're on track here in Winnipeg.
Well, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, Glenn, did it the hard way, but they're there 1,454 days later. The Bombers will make a playoff appearance.
26,000 fans will probably want to go out and shake the hands of every Winnipeg Blue Bomber. They're storming the field right now.
And it seems like a very orderly crowd, although they have waited a while for this particular moment. A playoff appearance at last. Bombers win on Adidas Friday Night Football 30-18, and the Bomber flag is flying high. Winnipeg will be in Hamilton a week from Sunday. Time now for the TSN Turning Points. Brought to you by Mr. Lube.
Go to the third quarter. He had an interception. He had a block punt. That was the block punt. Jerron Bolden turned this game around for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Harold Nash takes it 23 yards for the touchdown. That's your TSN Turning Point.
A cash donation will be made to the Coaching Association of Canada for the training and development of coaches in amateur sport. On behalf of TSN and Mr. Lube, doing it right before your eyes. Corey Philpott still being mobbed by Bomber fans. Hey, it's been a fun night in Winnipeg. Great year for the Blue Bombers. At last, they're in the playoffs.
The playoff spots are all set, but we are not done just yet. In fact, we have 2 more games for you. The first one is tomorrow night. The Lions honoring Louis Pasaglia. Louis' last regular season home game. Will have a full pre- and post-game show. The Desk is next. Buck Martinez talks about his new gig, plus the full NHL story. Yes, after 4 frustrating years, the Bombers are back in the show. They're on that playoff train, and the party is on in Winnipeg. This has been a presentation of TSN, Canada's most watched sports network.
See it.